World Cup final began with a fight, not between the players, but about the ball. Argentina brought theirs, and Uruguay brought theirs, and when neither backed down, they played 45 minutes with each. Uruguay, with the T model, came out on top. This was the era when balls were heavy. They were classics, sure, but they could double in weight during a thunderstorm. Before we go on, I will tell you that the 1962 ball was called Mr. Crack. A ball that was so heavy when wet, several European teams refused to use it. Instead, the 1958 Top Star was used, most famously for the quarter-final between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. By '66, we had the Slazenger Challenge. Because people watched They Think It's All Over in black and white, we forget the ball was actually bright orange or red, whatever that colour is. But it looked like a floating smudge to people at home. The World Cup match ball needed a makeover. Enter the Telstar. 32 black and white panels. It was stylish, it was modern, and it meant goalkeepers could finally see the thing that was about to ruin their afternoon. It was also the start of an Adidas monopoly. 1986 was the dawn of a new age. The Azteca was the first fully synthetic ball, meaning it didn't soak up water. Recently, though, things have got weird. 2002 gave us the Fever Nova, basically a high-tech frisbee, and then, of course, the Jabulani. Today, the balls have internal sensors that tell the VAR room if someone breathed on it. We've come a long way. But the ball's not the main thing, is it, FIFA? It's just a ball.
It's talkSPORT live at the World Cup. It's kickoff live from Orlando, Florida, where England play their final warm-up game tomorrow against Costa Rica. We had an earthquake here last night, but England didn't make the earth move in their first warm-up on Saturday. They need to start making some waves tomorrow, that's for sure. Put on a show, make a statement, that sort of thing. Tonight we're going to hear from the England camp. We'll hear live from Thomas Tuchel in the England camp. We'll hear from Mark Gay as well, and a USA legend joins us on the show a little bit later on. There's plenty more to come, all live from Florida on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce captained England a lot of times. How many times? Do you know how many times? 10 times. 10. Very impressive. Jim Proudfoot has commentated on England for well over 10 years, haven't you?
Yes.
Very good.
And a privilege to have done so.
Getting the hang of it yet?
No. Always hope that the next one's better than the previous ones.
We're always learning, always learning. England continue the preparations for the World Cup against Costa Rica tomorrow. Want to know what we want to learn from this final warm-up game. But actually, what I want to know first of all, either of you, did you feel the earthquake?
I didn't, no.
Okay.
No.
I must admit, I didn't know anything about it at all until you've just mentioned it.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently, parts of Disney World here in Orlando were closed down because of it. It was an earthquake in Cuba, and I woke up to a message, somebody says back home saying to me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, absolutely fine, yeah. Didn't know anything about it either until they told me. So, yeah, there was an earthquake.
I remember the one in the late 80s. Probably in North Wales, that having been living in the outskirts of Birmingham at the time, we felt that one. That was quite a weird sensation, very mild tremor. But no, last night absolutely knew nothing about it.
I felt that one in Nottingham as well, actually.
Did you?
You know, the North Wales one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt as though someone was shaking the settee behind.
It's a very strange
This is
sensation.
a serious subject.
Yeah.
that-
You two having a shared experience.
To be fair, I did. We felt as though we heard a bit of a tremor, but when I opened the door, you were walking down the corridor this morning. So.
That's actually true. It's very true. I just had that crazy breakfast.
You were humming "Bring Me Sunshine" and doing the dance.
That was Bring Me More Breakfast, I think. Not Bring Me Sunshine. Peanut butter and jelly breakfast. I thought I'd have an American breakfast this morning, and it was absolutely disgusting. It was. You saw the plateful. It was just horrible, wasn't it?
I thought it was a brave choice. I mean, not as brave as the shirt, but I thought it was a brave choice.
I'm entering yet again, as Christina told us yesterday, our former FIFA ref on talkSPORT, I'm entering the Miami spirit, the Florida spirit with this shirt, as I did yesterday. So can we have some respect for the shirt? I may put the Miami Mice jacket on a little bit later in the show, so stand by for that if you're lucky. What do we want to learn from the final warm-up game against Costa Rica tomorrow, Stuart Pearce?
Well, he's got to infiltrate the boys that are coming to join us, the Arsenal players and whatever, that they've got to fit into the shape he wants. Going back a few years, I think you try and get your final team that you think's going to play against Croatia. I'm not sure that's going to be the case for this game. I really don't. I think he'll tinker a little bit and get exactly what he wants minutes-wise. Will be a big thing for him, more so than a clarity of the 11 that are going to start against Croatia. But you want no injuries, and you want a more fluent performance that offers more threat at the opposition's goal, albeit that the opposition will be slightly better than New Zealand.
The fact that he's not going to, you think he won't put that starting 11 against Croatia out tomorrow against Costa Rica. I understand what you're saying, but does that mean he actually trusts the players? He doesn't need to see them in action. He knows what they can do.
The question might be, you've had a year and a half to look at the team. You know the performances. You watch them every week in training. I think he'll have a near enough, at this stage, a set 11 in his mind that he's going to go with against Croatia. I'll be astounded if he hasn't got that in his mind. I can't see him sat here at the moment thinking I've got a game to go and I've still got 2 or 3 places up for grabs. I can't see that being the case,
I think it would be more important for him that he's looking at giving minutes to the Arsenal contingent, as Stu was saying. So I would expect we'll see 45 minutes of Saka and 45 minutes of Noni Madueke on the right-hand side. I'm not sure what he's going to do with Chiesa, whether he will start him at 10 just to give him a little bit of acclimatisation. Declan Rice, you would imagine, will start and will play 45 minutes or an hour. And the other one that intrigues me is what he does with John Stones. I mean, I think that the three of us are expecting that John will start at centre-half in the game against Croatia. But he, probably more than anybody else, needs to have his minutes managed after the troublesome Premier League season he's had because of injury. So he played in 45 minutes the other day. What does he need to see from John Stones? Is that another 45 minutes? Will that do? Does he need to push him a little bit further just to stress test him, just to make sure everything's all right? So he plays 60 minutes, 70 minutes.
Yeah, we said on Saturday against New Zealand, I wanted to see him play 90. You rightly pointed out that probably wasn't a good idea, Stuart. But actually, I wouldn't mind seeing John Stones for 90 in this game.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt him. If I was managing him and managing his minutes, I'd probably look to say somewhere in the region of 60 to 75 minutes. I think you've learnt enough at that stage from him to tick the box of, yes, he's going to be fine, he's in my thoughts, and I'm going to start him coming the Croatia game.
The Arsenal players selected in the squad, they're going to be available, as we've said. They're coming back, and we expect to see them get game time as well after winning losing the Champions League final. I thought what a mistake that was, crikey. I want to ask a question here. It's quite a serious question on Bukayo Saka. When was the last time we saw him play to the full ability that we know he's got?
Probably prior to the injury, I would have thought. I thought he was outstanding for club and country, and I think he's just suffered with that injury a little bit. It's amazing how, they knock you out of tilt a little bit, with your performance and your level of performance. Listen, he's delivered some really good performances, but I think he set a standard prior to that injury that was as high as I've seen from him.
Yeah, I was there that day at Selhurst Park 18 months ago, almost within a week or so from now.
When he got the injury?
When he got the injury, and he had been in fantastic form going into that game, and it's bound to knock you out. I mean, it's the first serious injury that he's had in his career. He's still only 23, 24 when he had it, so it's understandable that it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get back, but I don't think he has been the same player since it happened. And that will be a concern for him going forward. I'm not for one moment saying I don't think he's worthy of his place in the starting lineup or in the squad, but I think it is a legitimate observation that he hasn't been as good as he was before it happened.
I think the quality he's shown it means he's got so much in the bank that he was definitely in the squad. I do think there's a debate to be had about his starting place in the lineup. But again, I think there's enough in the bank for Bukayo Saka to be that starting right-sided player.
What I would say on that statement is I've always seen him as the number one right-sided player, and I think we need a winger type to play there. And the two that we look at are Madueke and him. I think he's been Saka's been quite fortunate that Madueke's just lost a little bit of that shine as well, because at the start of the season and prior to Christmas, when he come on and had an effect in an England shirt especially, he was a real handful, you know, and arguably England's best player on occasion. So I think that's where he's got quite fortunate that Madueke's form's dropped slightly.
I mean, you would imagine that Thomas isn't going to move away from the tried and tested. He likes to play with orthodox wingers.
Yeah.
We've seen Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins both play out in that position over the last two games. They're the guys that have started there. Do you think that there is a case that later in the tournament he might say, OK, I need to play someone who isn't an orthodox winger in that position, and then, you know, Saka's place in the team becomes at risk? Or do you think he is wedded to the way that he plays with his wide midfielders?
I mean, we've spoke about this for a year, a couple of years now, and we've said I don't think it works playing players outside that are not wingers with Harry Kane as a centre forward. You know, because he likes to drop slightly deep. You need those boys to go past people with a bit of pace, with a bit of urgency. The only way that I'd make an exception to that is if you're blocking a game up a little bit. You might slide Bellingham into a wide area or Rodgers into a wide area just to block things up, to have a different type of player, because you don't need the advancement of a winger type to go past people at that stage of a game, maybe. That's the only time for me.
I'm going to throw a question in here that you might not like the question, but the way Arsenal play has won them the title. Nobody's taken that away from them, but the way Arsenal play, and everybody knows what I'm talking about here, has that damaged Saka or has it helped him, do you think?
For me, it's helped him. He's been playing at the best side in England. He gets plenty of the ball. You know, I've not turned up at Arsenal, and I've covered Arsenal a reasonable amount this year. I've not turned up and thought, well, I would hate to be a winger in their team, because he never gets the ball to his feet. He gets plenty of the ball at his feet. He has the Ben White going past him, Timber but going past him, coming inside him. So they've got a lot of sort of diversionary runs around him that helps him as well. So I think it's a bonus, personally.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Interesting. Arsenal, the way they play, maybe some people feel a little bit negative, maybe a little bit on the defensive side, and one wonders how Saka, what he might bring into this World Cup for England, having played like that all season. We're at Tom's Watch Bar in Orlando, Florida. You can catch us on talkSPORT's YouTube channel or on your smart TV.
Fozzie, you're a lot older than me, so you would have seen more England goalkeepers. But does Pickford? For me, he does. Does Pickford rank as your best ever England goalkeeper?
Yeah, he does, without doubt. I still just think he's got so many more years left in the tank in him as well. He's found a level now, especially over the last I'd probably say 4 or 5 years, even in the Premier League, where he just knows what he's doing and he's in full control of everything he's doing, apart from his emotions, because he still goes absolutely crazy on the pitch and watching, running around. But I know what I'm going to get from him. I'm going to get a 7.5 out of 10 every single England performance.
Yes.
And to have that from a goalkeeper is, honestly, it's worth its weight in gold.
What do you think about the squad of players that the managers picked? I thought Harry Maguire should have been picked. I thought Lewis Hall at left back should have been picked. What was your thoughts on the squad, mate?
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand a few here or there, but I think Harry Maguire was my big surprise. I went to the Japan game at Wembley a couple of months ago, and it was awful. Honestly, it was a brutal game. And our best chance of scoring came in the last sort of 15 minutes when Harry Maguire came on. I think he had 2 chances from corners. And that's what it brings you. If you're an opposition team and you see big slabhead coming on, honestly, mate, it strikes fear in you. As a goalkeeper, I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. This is carnage. This is. So not only for the season that he's had defensively for Manchester United, but for what he offers in the box as well. I would have thought it would have just been a no-brainer.
We got just over a week to England's first game. What's that weight like as a player, Ben?
I don't think they'll be thinking about it yet, to be honest. I think they've still got another 1 or 2 friendlies as
one more,
to go between that. They'll be just focusing in on getting through that game. You see, there's been so many teams who have had star players get injured in these little friendlies that you can't really read anything into them. You really can't. You're not going to get sort of everything out of them players in them games because they're really thinking, just don't get injured, just don't get injured. And then I think with a few days to go, that's when it will really start to hit home and everybody will really start to lock in again.
In the world.
One of England's best players. He merits coverage. It's the biggest news story of the week.
I think that you should build a team around Bellingham. I think he's actually the kind of guy that is capable of winning England a World Cup.
I think Jude Bellingham is truly world class.
Bellingham, last World Cup, mate, he dug us out of a hole.
England probably got, 3 elite-level world-class players. Obviously, Harry Kane. Declan Rice is moving to that level. And Jude Bellingham.
Well, we're going to be talking about England's defence very shortly, but the big ongoing debate is Bellingham or Rodgers, which probably won't be answered until the team against Croatia in England's first game at this World Cup in Dallas is announced before kick-off. Thomas Tuchel has said that Bellingham is, quote, one of the starters. He's also said he's got 14 or 15 starters in the squad. So all the starters can't all start. So who's going to be that number 10? Bellingham has only started 4 of Tuchel's 13 games for England. He was a constant under Southgate. There's been injury in there as well for Jude. Morgan Rogers, only player involved in all 8 of England's World Cup qualifying matches. He's featured in all but 1 game under Thomas Tuchel. I don't know what that says to you, and I actually don't think it means a lot going into this. It feels like Thomas Tuchel is going to pick the right team for the game based on what he's seen in training and based on what he thinks the opposition might do as well. I want to know one question on Jude Bellingham before we get into England's defence, Stuart and Jim. Why is Bellingham divided amongst England fans? Why is there this division of opinion? Some really love him, some really can't stand him, some desperately want him in the England team. Others are like, no, it doesn't matter if he's not in. Why is that? What's going on there?
There's a perception there's an arrogance about him. Maybe even there's talk about people around him, his advisors, if you like, that play into that. That, I think, fuels a lot of the conversations you have around Jude, you know what I mean? 'Cause there's no doubt that, the talent is there, but there's that question mark. Is he a team player? Is he not a team player? Is he in it for himself a little bit more so than others? And they're all the things that have been thrown up over the last year and a bit that we've seen, sometimes on a football pitch in his demeanour, sometimes not. Whether it's right, whether it's not, I don't know. But that is the perception. So we can't run away from that. That is part of it. And that's fueling a lot of this. And thrown into that, you've got it's almost a jigsaw puzzle of players playing in different positions that have caused the issue as well. So I'm going to go back to our deep line midfielder. Anderson's done extremely well. So he's cemented his place in the England team, which has enabled Rice to go and play further up the pitch. So he takes one of those positions up. Then all of a sudden, Morgan Rogers has played extremely well for club and country that goes into a number 10. And then the overview of all of that, the greater picture is, we think we've got to play wide players, wingers in those wide areas. I've thought that for a long time. Thomas Tuchel thinks it as well with his team selection. And all of a sudden, that's the jigsaw. And then the question mark is, where's the room for the golden child? Do you know what I mean? So that is fueling all this, like a big jigsaw puzzle with question marks dotted around it.
And then at the same time, Jude is injured. And you talked about the fact that he's only started 4 of the 13 games under Thomas Tuchel, but 3 of those 4 starts were the first 3 games. So he's only started 1 of the last 10 over the last 12 months coming into this tournament. I mean, it's interesting, and we had this discussion, you and I, yesterday, about workload. About whether you look at Morgan Rogers having played more games over the last 12 months than Jude, and whether that becomes a factor. And actually, there isn't a huge amount of difference between them, notwithstanding Jude's injury. I think Morgan's only played 9 games more because Jude was at the Club World Cup, so he had a curtailed summer. He's played maybe 55. I think Morgan Rogers has played 64 games for club and country over the last 12 months. But you were telling me that you don't think workload is a consideration at all at this stage.
Me personally, no. If I'm taking a team to a World Cup, I don't look back and say, at this stage, as a national manager, I wouldn't look back and say over the season he's played 80 games up to this stage. This one's only played 40 games. I can guarantee the one that's played less games is going to play better over the duration. I can't guarantee that. No one can. It's just a form thing. You go with what you see with your eye at this stage, I think, and you only look forward. Yes, there's going to be the conditioning coaches around you, managing minutes, red zones and all that. All these red herrings get thrown at you as a coach now. But you see with what you see with your own eyes. And I always go back to it. Have a look at the games of Messi and Ronaldo. They play 70 games a season and have done for 2 decades. There's no red zones with them. There's no overfacing them as players. They're the best players. They go out there and play. They have a rest when they're injured, which they're rarely injured because they're battle-hardened and they play all the games.
Do you have to, if you're Thomas Tuchel, and bearing in mind what he said to us at St George's Park, Thomas Tuchel, about his mum finding some of his behaviour repulsive, which made 1 or 2 headlines. You have to manage him in terms of his ego, his character, and whether he is arrogant. And there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. I would say, Stuart, you were a very confident player in that you were confident in your own ability. You probably felt within you should be England's first choice left back, and if somebody else got picked, you were ready to fight for your place because you believed in yourself. Sometimes maybe that spills over. Some might perceive that as arrogance in some players, seemingly they're doing Jude. So does Thomas Tuchel have a real job on his hands managing that?
I think the modern-day manager, Aid, has got a job on his hands managing everybody, juggling all the balls and keeping everyone happy. That's the nature of the game. The best managers do it better.
But is Jude a special case?
Jude is a special talent, there's no doubt about it. When he's fully at it and fully playing, he's an outstanding talent, no doubt about that. He can hold the ball up, he can find a pass, he can score a goal. All the things you want from a good number 10. You know, he's got good stature as well. So all of those things. So the answer to your question is yes, he's got to manage him. But you've also got to manage and be fair to everybody else. And that's what I think he's done really well this year, Tuchel. You know, when Jude's come back, he's not said, well, get straight back in the team. He said to him, well, I don't know what he said to him, but his actions have sent a message to me saying, you've got to earn the right to get back in the team because one of your teammates, who you've got to support from the outside now, is playing extremely well in Morgan Rogers. And the best managers do that well, but you've got to keep the ones on the outside. We went to the Kennedy Space Centre, right? Now, here's an analogy for you. They were sending the rockets up, and the rockets were going here, there, and everywhere. Why were they going here, there, and everywhere and crashing at the start of the project? Because they didn't anchor them down. They found out they had to anchor them down with big bolts, get up to full systems throttle, then take the bolts off and off they go. That's what you've got to do with these players who are on the outside. You've got to anchor them down, but you've got to get them up to full throttle and then take the anchors off at the right time to go. If you take the anchors off at the wrong time, they'll come crashing down to earth.
Well, there's the best analogy of our World Cup coverage done here and now. We haven't even got to the first game, so how do you follow that? But what I was going to say was, being devil's advocate, he would have looked at it 12 months ago, and I think that the comments that he made, and I know some people don't agree with this, but I think the comments that he made about his mum's perception of Jude were really calculated, and that he wanted to try and make a point to Jude. The injury has actually maybe helped Thomas Tuchel's cause, that he hasn't played that much. He wants Jude in the team to be absolutely on top of his game, but to have that real hunger there and feel that he has something to prove, as opposed to somebody who looks back at some wonderful moments that he has already been able to produce, and some stellar goals and some crucial goals for England in tournament football in his World Cup career. So I think he's actually managed Jude brilliantly, culminating in him having the captain's armband for the second half, for the presentation of the Captain and Gamoa in the dressing room afterwards, that, you know, here he is, okay, it's now the time, arm back round the shoulder, in you come, Jude, we need you. And I think Thomas Tuchel has managed it brilliantly.
That's really interesting that you think it was calculated. I tend to think so as well. Thomas Tuchel isn't stupid. Nothing was lost in translation. And I'm thinking he wanted to get that out there, because the question Stuart asked him was about tactics. And then he started talking about behaviour.
I think the word he used wasn't calculated. I think the word was lost in translation. He didn't realise the word. What was the word he used?
Repulsive.
Repulsive in English is a real turn-off. You know what I mean? It's right at the end of the spectrum of a descriptive word. I don't think he realised that word at the time, personally. That's how I saw it. And I'm more understanding. I didn't totally agree with Jim that it was cold, it was calculating, and he knew what he was doing by putting it out there.
But do you not think that he was trying to get the general point across? That you know, this is something that he has to rein in. It was something that you had mentioned in commentary in the couple of games leading up to it. You'd seen things that you didn't like, and were quick to point them out. So do you not think that was also in Thomas Tuchel's head from a managerial point of view, and he wanted to get the point across, even if the word that he used wasn't necessarily one that maybe he would use if he had the same interview again?
Well, what I would say, don't forget it come from what day it was. We can't lose track of the fact this was the morning after the Senegal game, the night before this interview happened, and you've got all those angst of sleeping on that result and the performance and whatever. I've been there before, and you come down and bang, you sat there doing a live interview for 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it was, and all of a sudden them things are going on. So you're not, I don't think you're mentally in a really good position to give that, but we saw what we saw from the night before. I think there was a very sort of a performance from Jude that was a little bit self-centred, a little bit trying really hard and the rest are not trying. And then I thought he aimed a kick from memory at a water bottle or a fourth official in frustration. And I'm thinking, whoa, steady away. You know what I mean? Put the brakes on here, fella, because this could be serious, you know, if it's demeaned in the right way. And we're just about to go into a major tournament where they changed the laws that if you put your hand over your mouth and you're talking in that manner that looks aggressively, you're getting a red card. What I saw against Senegal that evening, I think he got very, very fortunate in regard to his demeanour. But that's a different story. But all those things were going on in Thomas Tuchel's head the next morning when we spoke.
I think that's fair. But also I think that to go from saying that to a year later he's got the captain's armband, I think says a lot about, you know, their relationship being okay now. We've got a bit of breaking news. There was a promise from the Real Madrid re-elected president that they were going to make a signing today, but nobody knew who it was. He denied it was going to be Michael Elise. Many people thought it was going to be Enzo Fernandez. Neither of those. They've actually had a £129 million bid rejected for Julian Alvarez from their neighbours Atletico Madrid. So and we know that Arsenal were meant to be interested in Alvarez as well, Stuart. So they've had that reject. One assumes the president will go back with another bid to try and secure his man, but that's the news. So we thought he might be coming to Arsenal, but it looks like Real Madrid are getting him.
Do you think Arsenal are out the equation with those pricings or not?
I would say so. It's not really in their history to do that, so unless they're going to break new ground and go to what? I mean, what are they looking for, 140 million?
Well, it depends. I think there's going to be a fair amount of Real Madrid tax in that because it is going to hurt the Atletico supporters so much if they sell him to Real particularly, that I think that they would put a massive premium on his price tag for him to go there. So I don't necessarily... I think if Arsenal came in and made a similar kind of bid at that price now, that might not mean that it wouldn't happen necessarily. I don't know.
Atletico Madrid's official X account on social media has got a load of laughing emojis in response to the bid.
I think they've just sent a message back across town by the looks of things. I don't know. I may be wrong.
That's one way of responding, but it's bid rejected, I think that means. We've got plenty more to come. We're going to hear from Mark Gahey very shortly, and we'll hear from Thomas Tuchel on talkSPORT tonight.
I love Ted Lasso.
You like it?
Yeah, it's funny, man. I watched it and it took me a while to get into it, but it is hilarious, right?
Yeah, I get that with shows like Sopranos.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing Ted Lasso to Sopranos, but like, you know, it's like I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I've always stuck at like episode 3. But then when you get past all of that, you get right into it. You know the characters and all that. Yeah, and then you know, Bob's your uncle. Yeah.
How did you get in? How did you get that role? Because you're in Top Boy, right?
Oh yeah, I was in Top. Bit different, isn't it?
Top Boy's good as well.
Basically, one of my best mates is a fantastic actor. His name's Will Poulter, and he's also an Arsenal fan. So big up, Wills. Yeah, but he did Where the Millers with Jason.
Okay, yeah.
The one where they tried to smuggle across the border.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Great film, isn't it?
Yeah.
He did the TLC bit. It's great. Basically, Jason asked him, "Do you know any actors that can do comedy, and can actually play football?" And he was like, "Yeah."
He said no.
He didn't ask you. He phoned his mate.
Conan, do you know anyone?
I walked into that one. All right. Where was I? Yeah. So then
you're good at football. I mean, like, I know the Ted Lasso stuff. Like, obviously, you can play, but you can obviously play, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we did the whole thing where when you're younger, like you try to make it.
Yeah. How close did you get?
You realise you think you're good, the best in your area.
Yeah.
You win a couple of cups. I won the cup, scored in the final, whatever.
Yeah.
Hit my head, hit my shoulder, went in.
Yeah.
And then you get to another level and you realise how rubbish you are.
Yeah.
Because you don't even see the ball. You're like, where's everyone? You know what I mean? And I got subbed off. Got subbed on.
Live from Orlando, Florida, where it's been overcast today. We haven't really seen the sun, but still very high temperatures, quite muggy out there. We're on the top floor of Tom's Watch Bar to Sports Bar with giant screens everywhere. And tonight they'll be showing Stanley Cup Game 4 in the ice hockey. Emma Hayes' US women's team are away to Brazil. Tonight as well, they'll be showing that. I'm sure Elise's hat-trick was on in this bar yesterday. France beating Northern Ireland 3-1. One other element of the England team we need to talk about is Rashford or Gordon on the left-hand side, and we've all got our own ideas about that. Let's hear from Anthony Gordon, who told talkSPORT's Faker Others that his recent move to Barcelona is just the start.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind of 2 weeks, but yeah, the best 2 weeks I've ever had, I think, just for me and my family. It's been really good because I've told them for a very young age, like I said in my interview, that I would get to this point, but you know, they were saying to me congrats and stuff and this and that. I'm not satisfied at all to just play for Barcelona. I want to win everything. This is where my career begins in my mind. So I'm at the stage I always said I was going to be. Now I need to get to the next level again.
Well, he's confident, and you got to love a bit of that, and that confidence has been borne out. He's got his move to Barcelona. Gordon, though, Stuart is number 18 in the squad. Rashford is 11. Does that mean Rashford's going to start?
This is an interesting one because I spoke yesterday when you asked me the question about Bellingham and Morgan. I said loyalty of a manager over a season plays a big part, and that was my thought process there. For me to say I thought Morgan Rogers would start ahead of Bellingham come the big game, the big kick-off. And so I should be sat here saying to you, Gordon's done pretty well over the year, blah, blah, blah. Rashford's sort of been start, stop, whatever. I think Rashford starts. I really do. I think, Gordon's lost a bit of form at the end of the season. Newcastle lost a bit of their shine as well, and that's all come along with it. Maybe the distraction of a move or whatever, even though it's a good thing that he's probably got that move in his mind, as you could hear there. But I think Rashford has hit form at the right time. I think he gets the starting berth. So for me, Rashford does.
I mean, and Gordon only started 2 of the qualifiers under Thomas Tuchel, and Rashford started 4. And I just think that his form improved as the season went on. 14 goals and 14 assists in all competitions is pretty tidy. I mean, he came off the bench a lot for Barcelona, but I think that's a good record.
Double figures goals and assists is very good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you're in a good side, so you would expect your numbers to be good, but even so, I think that, that is a very creditable return. What I think really brings things down in Rashford's favour is the experience of having played in World Cups. He's played 11 World Cup ties in his career. He's been in 2 previous tournaments, scored goals in a World Cup, and I just think that when there isn't an awful lot on the face of it between the two of them, really tips the balance Rashford's way. I think he'll start.
We need to talk about the defence as well, because I would ask anybody watching this, right, or listening to this, what they think the back 4 will be, because I don't think that's set in stone. I don't think we can say with any confidence or conviction what the actual back 4 makeup will be. So who plays right back is interesting. Whoever gets the shirt, it might change depending on the opposition, Stuart. But I think it's Mark Gay is a certain starter. Beyond that, we're struggling to be confident of the other 3, aren't we?
Listen, let's start from the get-go here. We got 9 defenders. Okay, he's picked 9 defenders in his squad, and 4 we're thinking he's going to play a 4 at the back. 4 are going to play. For me, out of those 9, Mark Gahey's number 1, and I've been very vocal over the years. Performance for club, country, stepped up, playing for Man City now, fantastic. So he's a definite. Myself and Jim were chatting. We think O'Reilly probably comes in as second now.
A left back.
Yeah, he'll be the starting left back for me. He comes in that position purely because I don't think any other left-backs have really, convinced me this season or the back end of this season. Luke Shaw had played a lot of football, and Hall had all of a sudden come on the scene before Christmas, then dropped off again, so they've not made the squad. I've got Spence and Livramento that have played there. I'm not convinced that they run aground a little bit, get forward in advanced positions, brilliant. But I remember being at Wembley watching Spence, liked his defensive work, gets forward and they've got a cut back. Now O'Reilly, I think, gets advanced whilst he'll come inside. He can arrive in the box and get you a goal as well, and that for me would be a big plus as a manager. I've got a player that can do that. So we're talking the left side looks reasonably convincing for me.
I think on the right of the two centre-halves, Stones or Conter, it isn't quite a coin toss. I think we think that probably John Stones will edge Ensri Conter out. Ensri's really unlucky. Really unlucky that
Is that going to happen then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but I think that he will go with Stones. Would be my guess. You can easily make a case that that one is more fluid and could change over the course of the tournament. Right back is the critical one, and I think it's the balance of the back four. What he wants Nico O'Reilly to do will probably mean that Reece James is the most likely, I would think, to start. I think he's probably an 80%, 85% shot to start at right back. On the basis that Thomas Tuchel likes to build with a 3. And Reece James, having played for him at Chelsea, knows exactly the way that he wants to do it, and he will tend to stay in there, and that will allow O'Reilly then to come from left back into the midfield positions that he likes to take, or to go down the left flank, which he can do as well, but predominantly provide an extra body in midfield. So England are building 3-2-4-1. And if you've got James playing there, that kind of brings the best out of O'Reilly as well, I think. But there will be circumstances that he might not want to build that way, particularly, I guess, in games where you're playing against someone like Panama, the last game in the group, who will play with a 3 that probably, because of a lack of possession, will become a 5.
See, what comes into your thinking this, if you push Panama back into a 5, let's say, I don't think you're looking to just have 4 players up against them, because they'll have that spare man then, and you know that spare man can do a bit of covering across the middle of the park. What you want is to go 5-on-5. Now it's how you get 5 in that front line is the key to maybe which fullback you play. It might be a scenario where you play 2 fullbacks that are really advanced, so you push them right up to make 2. Harry Kane's another one. The wide players come off the flank to occupy the 2 wide central defenders. So there's your 5-on-5 scenario. And then you're looking for Rice to get in the pockets of space, and Bellingham or Morgan, whoever's is playing there, into the areas to really get on the ball, get turned and thread passes. If you've got a spare player in their back line, all of a sudden they can pick up those runs a little bit easier than occupying 5-on-5 on the build.
So Anderson, under those circumstances, then would drop deep and split the 2 centre-halves, would play that little bit wider if you've got more attacking fullbacks, as opposed to what we think he's going to do in the majority of games, where if you've got Reece James there, the 3 becomes James and the 2 centre-halves.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got 3 on the build there, you don't need Anderson dropping into that line. He's got to be cute enough to say, for me to make the extra man, I need to pull away and go forward and receive beyond their press, if you like. If they do build with a 2, he's got to be cute enough then, Anderson, to say, do the 2 centre-halves need me to drop in to build as a 3 or not? If they don't need me to drop back, I can receive the ball another 10-15 yards up the pitch, get turned, which he's good at, and then start threading those balls to the 2 number 10s that we were talking about.
So obviously Panama is the last game in the group, and it might not be a live fixture. I mean, it depends what happens, and if England have won the first 2 games and the other teams have taken points off each other, then it could be that England have won the group. I mean, it could be that England need to win that game and need a favour from elsewhere. You just don't know. But assuming that it is a live game, could you make a case then that it's for the first 2 matches you're going to see James and O'Reilly for the reasons we talked about, but for that last game it could be Spence on one side and Livramento on the other as the most attacking options of the fullbacks?
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say. Certainly Livramento, I would see him pushing forward. I've seen Livramento play as a left back, and I'm not totally convinced about it. I've got to say, I don't like him at right back. I think he gets forward in advanced areas, floats over the ground. It's on his natural right side as well. Spence gets forward into advanced areas. If you're just sending them up to occupy, it's done the job, I think, you know. So you could have either of them playing wherever. If you're talking about, we're going to send these 2 up as high as you can possibly go, as wide as you can go, but what we're doing, we're not looking to feed into you as such. We're looking to probably go wide to come into your number 10s and start building from there.
I'd love to get some of your thoughts on that. You know how to get hold of us. We are giving you the chance to win a trip to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, courtesy of Adidas. You and a mate could be in New York June 27, seeing England-Panama live. We've got your flights, hotel, spending money, match tickets, and the official try under match ball all covered. Head to talksportwin.com to enter and for full T's and C's now. But hurry, entries close this Friday.
The ultimate football fan winning feeling with talkSPORT Win.
When you said there that you've got certain developing nations maybe that have to go for somebody else, in the way that Uzbekistan have got Fabio Cannavaro.
Yes.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
This is why the Thomas Tuchel appointment for England just really doesn't chime with me, really doesn't sit comfortably, because we are supposed to be the inventors of the game, be the home of football. Football's coming home. We are supposed to be we were at the genesis of football. We are supposed to be one of the most richest footballing nations, rich in terms of culture, but also rich in terms of finances. How can we not pick from within?
Well, who would you have gone for if it weren't
personally?
Yeah,
I would have gone for anyone English.
Anyone?
Over
Oh
Thomas
yeah, because you
Tuchel.
said something. Honestly, I forgot about that ridiculous shout that you come with. Remember?
It wasn't ridiculous.
No,
It was
no,
completely
it was ridiculous. You said you'd rather, and listen, he's a friend of mine. You'd rather Liam Rosenior than Thomas Tuchel as England manager.
Yes, in the way that I would. In the way that I would rather Adam Wharton playing central midfield rather than Rodri.
No, but okay, I can understand that. But who gives you the best chance of winning out of the two?
Yeah, but that's not really the question.
No, but that's the question I'm asking you.
But I appreciate, by the way, Thomas Tuchel is far better manager. I'm not even arguing that.
So who gives us the best chance of winning
Thomas Tuchel is a far better manager than Liam Rosenior. Thomas Tuchel is a far better manager than Eddie Howe. But I believe Eddie Howe should be England manager.
Okay, but who gives you the best chance of winning? Is it about winning or is it about taking part?
But it's also about principle. It's also about principle. It's about
So England's women are playing tonight. They were humiliated by Spain in the Women's World Cup qualifier at the weekend. Tonight it's Ukraine at Everton, and there for talkSPORT it's Matt Jones.
And they make 4 changes to England from that defeat to Spain. Laura Blinkilde-Brown coming in for just her 7th cap. She's one of them as the Lionesses go in search of World Cup qualification tonight. But to do that, they do have to better Spain's result. And Spain are up against Iceland, a match you'd very much expect them to win. If England don't better Spain's result, they are consigned to the playoffs, which take place in the autumn. The other changes, Niamh Charles, Maya Letitia and Jess Carter also come in. Lucy Bronze, Lotte Ruben-Moy, Alex Greenwood and Ella Toone are the players who drop to the bench. In full then, Hampton will have a back four of Charles, Morgan, Carter and Letitia in front of us. Stanway, Walsh and Blinkilde-Brown are in midfield with James, Russo and Hemp the front three. It's England against Ukraine from 8 o'clock.
Keep you in touch with that, and of course the Iceland-Spain game, which is all important, as Matt was saying as well. Guys, just one question on the defence that we talked about a moment ago. Stuart, I want to ask you a question about Ezri Konsa. If it is going to be John Stones who starts, and Ezri Konsa does miss out, he's very, very unfortunate, as Jim was saying, but also he needs to be managed. I mean, we've kind of admired how they all get on in the England camp, but that could be something that could, from a player's point of view, Ezri Konsa is going to be very frustrated by that.
Well, I think in squad selection you saw the disappointment on Maguire, vocally and what it means to him to play for his country. I think if Konsa doesn't get a start on what he's done in the qualification period, I would say he has probably missed out more than any individual that is... It's akin to leaving Declan Rice out of the team, or probably Anderson, or Harry Kane, I think, because Konsa's done that well.
I mean, the one thing I would say is that he would be told, look, you're going to have opportunities. I don't think it's conceivable. I was expecting John Stones to make the squad. You can't make a case for him playing up to 8 games in this tournament in the start. I just don't think that his body will get through that. I hope I'm wrong, with no disrespect to Ezri Konsa at all. But, he can come in there. He could also play at right back, which he has done once under Tuchel in the win against Wales. He played at right back with Stones inside. And he would be the same kind of profile of defender maybe as Reece James. I mean, very slightly different, but you understand the point I'm making. If they're going to build from the 3 with O'Reilly coming into midfield on the left-hand side, and Konsa can play at right back. We've seen him do it dozens of times for Villa. He has done it for England. So there is an opportunity that he could fit in there, and I think he would be a better bet than Jarrell Quansah in there. So he is going to be desperately unlucky if he doesn't start too many games, but I think that he would look at it, and if he's told that he's not starting against Croatia, realistically that doesn't mean that he's not going to feature in this tournament by any stretch of the imagination.
We had an interesting chat, the three of us, about goalkeepers at this tournament, and in particular the England keepers. There's no doubt that Jordan Pickford is the #1 England goalkeeper. If Jordan's injured or suspended, and obviously we hope he isn't, what happens then, Stuart?
It's strange. I said to Jim earlier, I said, who's England's #2? Who's perceived as a #2? And he said, it's Henderson. I went, and it took me by surprise. I've got to say, it really did, because of what I've seen with Trafford over time, what he did the season before at Burnley, the clean sheets and everything, getting promoted. When he's been put in the Man City team, I think he's been absolutely faultless. His demeanour's magnificent for a goalkeeper. He's a real yin and yang with Pickford. They're both different in personality types, if you like. But I always thought that Trafford was the #2 for England, and he is the one that's going to put the pressure on Pickford, And maybe I've got that wrong, but I think his performances for City have proved to me the Carabao Cup final, he made top saves, while at the other end of the pitch made a mistake that cost his team the goal with very little in the games, really, So I think we're in a good place there.
Would it matter to you that he has only started one of Manchester City's last 35 Premier League games? I know he's been excellent in the cup run. He's played in the cup runs, including the finals. He has played Champions League football this season, but since Donnarumma signed, he only played that last game of the season. Is that a problem?
It would be if I hadn't seen with my own eyes him stepping up into these big major profile games, playing at Wembley, winning a cup for Manchester City at Wembley, the high profile. The pressure's on him more than most on that football pitch, because he hasn't played in the league as such, and all of a sudden you're a cup final starter in goal. Yes, he's played the rounds before, I get that, but he's not got a consistency of playing, and goalkeepers will be the first to tell you, I want a consistency of playing. The fact that he's stepped into these big games and been absolutely faultless, the answer to your question is no, it wouldn't worry me because of what I've seen.
I think Dean Henderson and fans of Crystal Palace might be thinking, hang on a minute, he's just won the Europa Conference League. He's got that under his belt. He won the FA Cup the season before. He's been playing regularly, and I think they might be surprised to hear you say that about James Trafford. I'm not surprised, because I think James Trafford's a really good goalkeeper, and when you've won 2 cups and you've kept clean sheets in finals, etc. Plus, I love his stature. I mean, he is a very tall goalkeeper. I know most goalkeepers are tall, but he seems exceptionally tall, certainly taller than Jordan Pickford. And I think that counts in his favour as well. I honestly think it's a 50-50. I think it would be Henderson, because I think it feels like he's Tuchel's #2. But that's the only reason I say that. I don't think there's a lot to choose between them.
Yeah, and probably my viewpoint has come from the fact I've probably covered live more City games, done the cup finals and whatever, and seen sort of Trafford play a lot more than Henderson, so I just had it in my mind that he was England's #2. It's and that's probably my fault more so than the perception of Henderson being the #2 now.
You might be right though. Who knows what
I
Tuchel's
could be
thinking.
vastly wrong as well. You know what I mean? There is that. It's either or.
I suppose so. And actually, I think there was a period a little while ago where we were thinking, hang on, we're struggling for keepers. And then you've got Pope, who's been at Newcastle, but Ramsdale, another English keeper, has played there as well. He's gone back to Southampton. Newcastle are going to be signing another keeper. We understand Pope, his future there is in doubt, I suppose. But we've already got 3, I think, very good goalkeepers in this squad at this World Cup. So I don't think goalkeeper's a problem anymore.
No, and I think it's quite good, actually, that we've got a perceived number 1 in Pickford, and 2, that us on the panel here, you know, we've got 2 to 1. Thinking,
are we a panel now?
So I think it's quite good that we've got 2 goalkeepers that we perceive are quite close to each other. Because when I've taken goalkeepers to finals, there is a 1, 2, 3 pecking order. There is a number 1 that defined, but 2 and 3 know they are 2 and 3, and I think it's quite nice that they might be closer as 2s to get into that first team slot if needed.
And the other thing about James Trafford, and I'm a big Dean Henderson fan, I'm not saying I'm coming down on Trafford's side, but the other thing about Trafford is he has that extraordinary tournament record with the under-21s where he didn't concede a goal in 6 matches and excelled in penalty shootouts. And, you know, building for the future, he's still only, 22, 23. You think he could have a load of World Cups ahead of him yet.
And the reality is, and we know from himself, he said that he went to Man City thinking he'd be the number 1. Then all of a sudden Donnarumma arrives and he's got a decision to make about his future now. Does he stay there? Does he go elsewhere? Will he be happy being just a cup keeper or whatever? Will he be thinking, you know, new managers come in and I might be the number 1? I mean, if you're ousting Donnarumma, then that's exceptional. But would you suggest that he might need a move to be England's number 1, or is nobody going to get past Pickford?
It's really difficult because he's gone to Burnley to get that first team experience, you know, and get first team football, and it's gone. Apart from where the team finished up, from his own individual, he was probably one of the shining stars that come out of that, you know, and getting promoted and whatever. So, without a doubt, footballers want to play football. I'm astounded if you don't want to play football.
Yeah, he's got to play. I mean, whether that's at Man City or whether it's elsewhere, but he has to play. If he's got ambitions of ousting Jordan Pickford for the next European Championships and ousting Dean Henderson for the next European Championships, he has to be playing week in, week out in the Premier League, in my opinion.
You said yesterday on the show you had a little meeting with David Moyes. Is it Moyes on? Is he very happy with Jordan Pickford? Is he?
Delighted with him.
Okay.
Not deleted. Delighted. Yeah. No, he likes Jordan, as I say.
I think it's impossible to dislike him. I just remember that France quarter-final last World Cup in Qatar where Tchouaméni scored from downtown and Pickford just couldn't reach it. I think Trafford reaches that. You can't say anything other than Pickford's number 1.
The incredible thing is, every time you sort of pick on Pickford, Jim will say to me, you know what, he hasn't conceded a goal for like 8 decades or something. It's incredible.
When was the last goal he conceded on foreign soil?
Decades.
No, I'm being serious. When was the last? He doesn't look 80, does he?
No.
When was the last goal he conceded on foreign soil? Jordan Pickford.
Must have been at the Euros.
Yeah, it was the final of the Euros. Yeah.
Right. So he conceded 2 there as well, you see. So, listen, I'm just looking for clean sheets from the keeper, that's all. talkSPORT's teamed up with Meantime to create a lager in time for the World Cup. It's called So Good Lager, which will be poured from all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. So whether you're watching the action this summer or settling in for the afternoon with your mates, make sure you check out talksport.com/sogood to find your nearest pub. So good, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. We're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel very shortly and from Mark Gahey as well.
Perez is a big-time operator. He was one of the intellectual capital behind the ideals for the European Super League, primarily because he probably wants to put his steel in parts of the Middle East and take opportunities as a result of that. But he's a big hitter, and he knows the influence and power that being in the position that he has, and he wields it with a great deal of authority. And I wouldn't wager against Mourinho being successful again, because I think this is another lease of life for Mourinho. He loves to prove people wrong. He won't escape him, because he's not an obtuse man, that the direction of travel for his career was sort of flatlining and declining. So here he comes again. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mourinho does something that people would be surprised that he does, which is come back and win something with Madrid.
They are a massive player when we're talking about the domino effects of the transfer market, aren't they, within the summer? And obviously him coming in, saying that he's going to spend £150 million on a particular player, whoever that may be. There's loads of rumours flying around. Michael Olise's name's been thrown in there. That then will trigger whoever gains that £150 million to go and spend it elsewhere, and that might affect the whole landscape within Europe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, let's be honest. The predominant spenders are the Premier League clubs. The scale that we spend dwarfs. I mean, Madrid and Barcelona in recent times have managed to regalvanise themselves. They've sold off their broadcasting rights to be able to recalibrate themselves economically. But Madrid haven't got enormous amount of money. My understanding is they're going to have to sell to buy. So whatever way you look at this marketplace, whatever club you are.
It's 2010, and the Goalkeepers Union is up in arms. Why? This thing, the Jabulani, perhaps the most famous World Cup match ball for moving, it seemed, in 3 directions at once. But that wasn't the first match ball row, not by a long shot. In 1930, the World Cup final began with a fight, not between the players, but about the ball. Argentina brought theirs, and Uruguay brought theirs. And when neither backed down, they played 45 minutes with each. Uruguay, with the T model, came out on top. This was the era when balls were heavy. They were classics, sure, but they could double in weight during a thunderstorm. Before we go on, I will tell you that the 1962 ball was called Mr. Crack. A ball that was so heavy when wet, several European teams refused to use it. Instead, the 1958 Top Star was used, most famously for the quarter-final between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. By '66, we had the Slazenger Challenge. Because people watched They Think It's All Over in black and white, we forget the ball was actually bright orange or red, whatever that colour is. But it looked like a floating smudge to people at home. The World Cup match ball needed a makeover. Enter the Telstar. 32 black and white panels. It was stylish, it was modern, and it meant goalkeepers could finally see the thing that was about to ruin their afternoon. It was also the start of an Adidas monopoly. 1986 was the dawn of a new age. The Azteca was the first fully synthetic ball, meaning it didn't soak up water. Recently, though, things have got weird. 2002 gave us the Fever Nova, basically a high-tech frisbee, and then, of course, the Jabulani. Today, the balls have internal sensors that tell the VAR room if someone breathed on it. We've come a long way. But the ball's not the main thing, is it, FIFA? It's just a ball.
It's kickoff on talkSPORT. We are live in Orlando from Tom's Watch Bar, a big sports bar, right on the top floor on the rooftop terrace we are broadcasting from. You might be able to see in the background if you're watching on talkSPORT's YouTube channel or on your smart TV. There's a big Ferris wheel in the background. There's a huge kind of swing thing as well. And if you actually listen to the talkSPORT World Cup Daily podcast, it will be out first thing tomorrow morning. There'll be more on that swing. These guys don't know about it, but there will be. It'll be me, Jim and Stu on the podcast, so make sure. In fact, we're going to be doing it all through the World Cup, virtually every day. When it's around England games, before England games, after England games, it'll be very England and very serious. Beyond that, it will be all about what Stuart's got up to, because you're a very funny man.
Am I really?
Generally speaking, yeah, look at your analogy from the Kennedy Space Centre. It's incredible.
I thought it's quite a good analogy. You've got to pick things up on your travels. You know, information, nuggets of information. The securing bolts were incredible.
Pass me by that, sorry.
Well, I went back to my electrical past. I was walking around looking at the electrical work and thinking, I'm glad I weren't on this job. It could have gone horribly wrong.
We actually had a power cut here about 10 minutes before we started the show, and I thought Stuart's going to be busy leading up to the show, getting us back on air, and it worked. Maybe it was just the magic. You didn't do anything. You just the magic that came from your head.
Just plugged my hair in, didn't I? And off I went.
There will be more details on the podcast along the way from the day at the Kennedy Space Centre. But very quickly, just to tease that a little bit, Jim Proudfoot, are you a believer in the moon landings or not?
Well, they either happened or they didn't, one way or the other, yeah.
He was so sceptical, wasn't he? Well, that's for another day.
Unbelievable. Yeah, more on the podcast, so do check that out. Let's bring in a USA legend, shall we? 82 international caps, a USA Hall of Famer, made it into the Premier League Team of the Year in 2003 as well. Former Liverpool, Blackburn, Spurs keeper Brad Friedel is with us on talkSPORT. How you doing, Brad?
Very well. How are you guys?
Yeah, real good. Great to have you on, and thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. I mean, listen, the World Cup's around the corner, 48 hours or so till we get started in Mexico. But from an American point of view, how are you feeling about it? Have we lost Brad? And we've lost Brad. So we'll try and get him back. I want to talk about Kieran McKenna going to Fulham as well. The Ipswich manager, we believe, is going to be heading to Fulham from Ipswich this summer. Marco Silva's left already. So I want to get your views on that. First of all, on the fact that, Stuart, there's an £8 million release fee that Fulham, it looks like they're going to pay, which I find a bit eye-watering. But can you understand McKenna going to Fulham? Because I'm thinking to myself, crowds and history, maybe Ipswich are a little bit bigger than Fulham. I don't know.
Difficult one, this. Firstly, let's start with Silva leaving Fulham. It's not akin to Guardiola leaving Manchester City, but I think it will leave a big void. I've got to say, I think he's done a brilliant job there. He continually put Fulham in a position where they were never ever looking over their shoulder of a relegation campaign or anything of that ilk. Played some good football, so I think it'll be a massive miss. McKenna, the fact that Fulham are potentially happy to pay that sort of money to get him out of there, I think is a really big thing, and it says this is the fella we want to take over from an outstanding manager that we've had for a few years. So the transition will be really interesting. I would be a little bit nervous, not because of McKenna's ability to manage, but a transition in a manager from a really consistency of Fulham. Every year you go in the Premier League, you know they're going to be somewhere in that mid-band team, comfortable, never in any problems at the bottom of the division, and on a good run they could be pushing the European places.
It's interesting. Now, we'll get more on this, actually, because I think there's a lot more to it. I think Ipswich fans, well, one of them, who I know very well, messaged me saying he's a snake, which, wow, I mean, it's quite the comment. But Ipswich to Fulham, is that really a step up? Some would see it as a step up, but we'll come back to that because Brad Friedel has rejoined us on talkSPORT. Brad, we've got you back. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, no problem at all. The World Cup's around the corner. How are you feeling about it from a USA point of view?
Well, much better right now than I was about a month or 6 weeks ago. I'm in Boston right now, getting ready. Did all the stadium runs and tours at Foxborough. I'm going to be calling the Haiti-Scotland game first. I liked also the U.S.'s lead-up games. I thought against Senegal and Germany, they looked very good. I've said from the get-go, I thought Mauricio Pochettino would get the team together, and I think he has done. I hope Chris Richards is fit. He's a huge part of our team. But it seems like all the cities are getting into it now. So it's nice to see. You go to the airports, finally see some things about the World Cup, and Americans like a big event, and this is the biggest in the world.
Who's going to be the standout player for the Americans, do you think? Someone that, you know, might be just under the radar at the moment, that might really grab everyone's attention?
I think someone like a Ricardo Pepi could do something. He's looked really sharp in the trainings I've seen. Looked good in the couple of games. I think the normal ones for a Stuart, like Chris Richards, is going to be important. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Anthony Robinson. I think everyone knows about that. But the two that how the number 9 does, whether it's Balogun or Pepi, and how the goalkeeper does. Matt Freese looks to be set to get the number 1 spot, and let's see if he can become a star, because he's going to be needed for the U.S. We're not going to be walking over anyone. The group's going to be very tough, and knockout stage is even tougher.
Brad, what do you think success looks like for the USA in this tournament?
Getting out of the group first. I know a lot of people were jumping up and down in the U.S. thinking we got Paraguay, we got Australia, and we've got, as it turned out to be, Turkey. Anyone who qualifies from South America is good, and they're going to fight like crazy. Australia is going to set up defensively. I think player for player, we are better than them, but not so much better that it's a guaranteed 3 points. And if we take that lightly, that'll be a difficult game. And Turkey, I think player for player, are arguably better than our players. So I think getting out of the group, getting out in first or second position is really important. You don't want to be in one of those third positions for us, because then you can get drawn against somebody who would be really difficult. And then once in the knockout rounds, it's a flip of a coin on who you get drawn against. So if you get drawn against one of the big boys and lose, and you fight to the finish, I think that's considered success. We're still not a footballing nation. We're growing. We've grown leaps and bounds, but it's still not the culture of football over here. So we still have a ways to go to get all the best athletes wanting to be players, but we can also cause some teams some issues.
Brad, you're a terrific keeper yourself. I've got to take you back to that keeper debate. Matt Turner seemingly kind of demoted. Matt Freese, as you said, is going to be getting that job as the USA number 1. Is that the right decision? Can you understand why Pochettino's made that?
I can understand. I think it was a difficult decision for sure. I think if you look back, Matt Turner made a decision to go to Arsenal, not being the number 1, similar to Zach Steffen when he went to Manchester City, who was also an excellent goalkeeper, to not be the number 1. Matt Freese has played every game. You see the number 3 goalkeeper that came into the squad, Chris Brady, just turned 22, has over 100 professional starts. So playing as a goalkeeper and having consistency is really important. I thought Matt Turner made the right decision to come back to MLS to play consistently, and I think he got himself into the reckoning for sure. And Matt's actually played really well the last 6 or 7 games in MLS, but Matt Turner, but Freese has also played pretty well. And I thought against Germany, he wasn't at fault for the goals, and I thought he looked calm and composed, really good in possession with his feet, and he got 90 minutes. And let's see. This is his first big tournament, but we all get our first tournaments somewhere, and this is his. And I gave Matt Freese his international debut with the U19 under national team squad and your youth national team squad. He's a really good kid, great athlete, and let's see if he can make himself a star.
Brad, just stay there. We're going to talk to you at length in a few moments' time. Brad Friedel, former USA international keeper, with us on talkSPORT. Let's go to the England camp. We can hear from the England manager, Thomas Tuchel.
Yesterday and today, and ready to give it a push tomorrow. Push means more than 45 minutes. Players will play 60, maybe some 70. Decision is not made yet. I will do this. We will make this decision in the afternoon. But that's the plan. We have then the chance to load the players one day later in a match behind closed doors in our training facility, and then pre-camp is finished and we start our adventure 2 days later in Kansas. But like I said, we expect a push tomorrow, physical and from intensity and also from style of play, from ball speed and everything. Wanna take the next step, and we feel ready for it.
More than any other player in the squad, it feels to me like you've kind of tried especially hard to accommodate John Stones. I mean, we saw you take him out to Barcelona last summer when he wasn't playing, just because you wanted to spend some time with him, get him around the group. What does he offer that others don't? And I wondered if it's maybe a positive that he hasn't played as much football as some of the other guys in the team. Maybe he's a bit fresher going into this tournament.
Well, he feels very, very good. He feels totally competitive. He hasn't played a lot of minutes, not as many as we would have liked ideally, but he was available. I think that's a big difference. So he was not injured a lot through the season. He was available. He has trust in his body, and most importantly, now he did ever so good for us when he was in camp. He offers us a lot. I think like he is as a football player on the highest level, defender of highest quality. He can step into midfield. He's confident in build-up. He can switch between different formations fluidly. He's a proven winner. Won so many titles. He knows what it takes, and on top of it, he's a very nice personality, and totally accepted, nice person, friendly, humble, and top personality. So that's the full package. I'm very happy that he arrived in a calm set of mind. Very happy to be in camp, ready to go, and the best news is he's training every training session. He played the 45 minutes and is ready to go. I think he's on high level.
Carrie. So Thomas, with that said, would you be ready to start John Stones in the first match against Croatia?
Of course, everyone can start. Everyone is fit. Everyone is ready, and John is one of them. Everyone is ready to go, but before we think about this, we have 2 more matches to play, and hopefully we take the next step, and hopefully we all stay healthy and have no injury worries, that we have the full availability, and then hopefully the full choice before Croatia. But first things first.
You have the whole gang back together. Declan Rice, your vice captain. When Gareth Southgate took over at England, he said, "What I need is more leaders on the pitch, more captains without armbands," what Declan Rice is often described at. First, talk to us about your decision to make Declan vice-captain, and tell us how many captains without armbands do you have to go and win this World Cup?
Well, we have a leadership group of 5-6 players, if you want to call them captains without armband, and Declan is one of them, and Harry is of course one of them. So these are the 2 guys with armband. Harry is our captain, there's no doubt about it, and Declan is our second captain. When Harry was not in camp and didn't play against Wales, we had the choice, and it was a very quick one and a very obvious one for me to give it to Declan. He is on highest football IQ. He takes care about formation. He takes care about our structure. He takes care about the adaptation, about the rhythm in our game. I think he had outstanding 2 seasons in his personal career. The last 2 years with Arsenal was one of the main players for me in Europe in the Champions League campaigns. One of the very best midfielders in Europe at the very moment, full of confidence, and that's why he's my vice captain.
Back there. Hi Thomas, João Miguel Nunes, RTP Portugal. Maybe you wouldn't like to make rankings among the teams, but to ask you very clearly, do you put England among the favourites to win this World Cup?
How many favourites are there? How many?
I don't know, that's what I want to know. In your opinion, of course.
No, we're not the top favourites. We can't be, because we haven't won it for so many years. So there are proven winners in the tournament with more success in recent tournaments. So these are the favorites, and we compete for the trophy. We dream big, and we know what it takes. If you dream big, comes with responsibility. Responsibility is on the effort. So this is where the focus is, and we want to compete. We see ourselves as competitors, as challengers, and we want to go all the way, but I don't think that we are the heavy favorites.
Considering favorites and talking about Portugal, because it's my country.
Very interesting from Thomas Tuchel. We dream big, says Thomas Tuchel. Doesn't see them as... I think they're considered as heavy favourites, though. Interesting. Faker Others, our England correspondent in camp, will be speaking one-to-one with Thomas Tuchel this evening. We will hear that. We'll get more from Brad Friedel shortly. And just to let you know, England lead Ukraine 1-0 at Everton. Jess Carter with a goal, but Spain are 1-0 up in Iceland as well. Barcelona's Vicky Lopez has scored that. More to come on talkSPORT.
You know, like, without Harry Kane, we are screwed.
He dropped quite deep again. I don't mind.
You know what's annoying me, right? And I've been seeing it on social media, right? People winding me up already, all right? If I hear England fans coming on here moaning about Harry Kane dropping deep, I swear I'm going to lose my head.
I totally agree.
I'm going to lose my head. The guy has scored 50 goals this season.
61.
He scored 61 goals.
In all competitions.
He scored 61 goals, right? And people are moaning about him dropping deep. When are people going to understand that is how Harry Kane plays?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, he is, that is his game. He drops deep, he gets in pockets, he's hard to pick up, and then he'll find the box.
He starts the build-up.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, guys. I don't want to be hearing Harry Kane's dropping deep, Harry Kane's dropping deep. Like, we know now that is his game. Yeah. That is how he plays. He scored 60 goals.
As long as we fill the space that he drops out.
Well, that's why you have Rashford and that's why you have Saka.
That's what you need, runners from deep. You do.
Well, people say Ivan Toney should start. We should start Ivan Toney because, he stays up there. We need someone who's going to, lead the line. Mate, drop me out. Drop me out. It does my head in.
No, I'm totally in agreement with you, mate. That's what he does. That's his game. And under Tuchel at Bayern Munich, he played that way, and he's mastered his craft. Look, you obviously, when the ball is built up in the wider areas, you want Kane in the middle. Obviously in the high and wide.
Yeah.
Because he can do the most damage.
Well, he scored a great goal with the ball. He got his glancing header.
talkSPORT taking you to Orlando, Florida. This is where kickoff comes from, live from Tom's Watch Bar. The Lionesses are missing chances at Everton. Is talkSPORT's Matt Jones.
Yeah, it's England 1, Ukraine 0 with 23 minutes gone. But to be honest, it could be 5-0. They've been so dominant. The keeper's made some fine saves, but England making the breakthrough on 14 minutes. Lauren James, who's been the orchestrator in pretty much every attack, floating a lovely cross to the back post. Carter sent it back past the goalkeeper, who was completely wrong-footed. Other than that, Russo's had a header saved. She's also seen another drop just wide. Hemp has had a pile driver from distance pushed around the post. And Letitia probably should have made it too just a couple of moments ago with a hook shot that went the wrong side of the post from close range. So England winning here. The bad news is that Spain are also winning in that game against Iceland. And if the scores stay the same, England will be consigned to a playoff for the World Cup. Spain will take top spots in League A Group 3. At the moment, it's England 1, Ukraine 0.
Yeah, Spain won up in Iceland, as Matt was saying. Let's bring back Brad Friedel, former American international. And Brad, I just want to get your reaction to what Thomas Tuchel just said. He said, England dream big, but we are not heavy favourites. What's your reaction to that?
I think he knows that they're one of the favorites. I think he's trying to take pressure from the media and the fans off of the team. I think he knows he has a goalkeeper in form. Very good back foursome, a fantastic midfield, and the world's best striker right now. So I think he knows that they're in with a chance. It's not going to be an easy road if you look at their brackets. Having to get, I think, memory serves me correct, Adrian, they've got to go to possibly Mexico City and play at altitude. That could also be against Mexico, and then after that, they would have to go to the heat and humidity in Miami if that's how their bracket run goes. So it wouldn't be easy, but I think he knows they have a very good chance of winning this.
Yeah, they do. Well, we hope they do anyway. Must ask you about Scotland, who you're watching, Haiti against Scotland, and in particular about Andy Robertson, who Spurs have signed him. So one of your old clubs, Spurs, has signed Andy Robertson from another of your old clubs, Liverpool. They're making good signings, Spurs. It feels like they could be on the brink of a recovery from the last couple of seasons.
I would agree with you, and I think what I like most about the Robertson signing, take away the obvious that he's a very, very good footballer, is his character. For the last couple of seasons, Tottenham has lost a lot of leadership off the field, and in the changing room, you saw it with a lot of petulant moments on the field, and I agree with you. The signings are looking very good. De Zerbi got them over the line, and he's now able to stamp his real philosophy on the team through a preseason. But Robertson's an infectious character, really positive, really bubbly, but he'll also let people, have it when they're not at it. And on top of that, he's come from a very successful club as of recent years, and Tottenham badly needed somebody like him coming through the door.
Brad, can I just pick your brains from a goalkeeping point of view? We were speaking earlier about the three England goalkeepers here, Pickford, Trafford and Henderson, just being diverse characters. Have you found when you were playing as well to have the support, if you're number one, the support of the others around you? Do you need diverse characters or just a group that get on well together?
You just need to have respect, Stuart, from the others. You just need people that the number two and the number three not to ruin training, not to spoil it. I was also a number two with the national team at times, and I hated it. But you have to rise above that, because the country and playing for your country is much more important than your personal individual feelings. So as long as there's a respect factor there, and if there's any help you can give to the number one, if he needs it, that's most important. You don't have to be all friendly and all cuddly with one another. I mean, that can help, of course, but as long as you're not a deterrent, you can battle for your position during the World Cup as well, and make sure you're in peak physical and mental condition in case you get called on or if there's an unfortunate injury. But respect is the biggest thing.
If Pickford did pick up an injury en route, which out of Trafford and Henderson would you put in?
Oh, there's a question. I would possibly Henderson, just with a touch more experience. But they're both very good goalkeepers. But that would just be, you're putting me on the spot here a little bit, Stu. So I would probably.
You're more than welcome.
I'd probably lean a little bit towards Henderson, but they're both good. You're not dropping off massively from Pickford either. All three are very competent goalkeepers.
Brian, when you look at Jordan Pickford, how do you regard him in terms of goalkeepers that England have had in the past? We talked about the goal that he led in against France in the World Cup, because he's not the tallest. Maybe other goalkeepers would have saved that. But where do you place Pickford in relation to the other England goalkeepers that you've seen over the last 30, 40 years?
All right, so here's going to be my honest assessment. I was never really fully bought into Pickford, probably 4 or 5, as near as 4 or 5 seasons ago. And he's won me over recently, and he's also been in really struggling Everton sides that have been incredibly close to the drop. He's made enormous saves at really crucial times of Everton seasons, and when he plays now with England, he looks like a leader. I think he's one of the more informed goalkeepers coming into this tournament, and he's definitely won me over for sure. So I think Jordan Pickford could come out of even this tournament being regarded globally as one of the best, because it's very rare do I hear people put him in the top 5 or top 7 when you're asked about this. And I think this could be a real big part of his career where people will acknowledge how good he actually is.
That's really interesting. A quick final thought on another of your old clubs, Liverpool. Areola's gone in there, and certainly one of the panel here in Orlando believes that Liverpool could be challenging and may even win the Premier League title next season, Jim. But I just want to know what you think about Areola going in there.
But there's two things. I have no problem with the Areola going in there at all, because I'm a Liverpool fan, and I think he's an excellent coach, and I'll back him, and I think he can do well. I was against getting rid of Slot because I'm just not one of the people that likes to see all this change and chaos created. And I think it started with last season's summer in the transfer window. I think it was really tumultuous. I think losing Trent, and there was Salah drama, there was the Isak drama, and it was just really difficult. And perhaps in hindsight, Arne Slot picked a fight with the wrong guy at the wrong time at the club. And things didn't transpire well. But now that's done. That's all said. Areola is a brilliant appointment. He really is. And I think he can play, he can get Liverpool playing some really attractive football. And he knows the Premier League. He also will know European football. So I think, once the vacancy was open, that was a very, very good hire. And I, again, as a Liverpool fan, not just a pundit, I'm happy with the appointment.
Brad, great to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a good World Cup, Brad.
All the best.
Thanks. You guys too. Enjoy Florida.
We are doing, don't worry. Brad Friedel is a big part of our coverage of the World Cup on talkSPORT this summer. Also involved Emmanuel Petit, David Moyes, Fabian Hürzeler, Stuart Pearce, of course, with England. White and Jordan are out here live from New York this Thursday, White and Jordan, so don't miss that. They've swapped slots with Hawksby and Jacobs in case you get yourself confused. But we've already heard from Thomas Tuchel. We'll hear more from Thomas Tuchel very shortly, and we'll hear from the England centre-half Mark Gahey as well. This is talkSPORT.
You just mentioned a couple of players there. Is Jude Bellingham one of your clutch players?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course he is. I mean, Morgan Rogers is a good player, but Jude Bellingham is a world-class player. And despite the fact that maybe Jude's going through a phase in his career where people are not taking to him, and maybe there's some issues about some of his disposition, I hear certain things in Madrid from relatively reliable sources that there's no relationship between Bellingham and Mbappe. The two egos can't be in the same room. And that's maybe why Mourinho's been brought back in to try and get some order in place. But let's be under no illusion. Jude Bellingham is a game changer and a winner and a world-class footballer. And if after 75 minutes you change him for Morgan Rogers, ooh, what a hardship that is. But Jude Bellingham, by any measurement, any rational measurements, should be in the starting lineup because he is a world-class footballer. And and we've got probably 3 or 4 of them in the team, and he's one of them.
You've said that Tuchel's been brought in to win.
Yeah.
What happens if he doesn't? What's the attitude towards him if he doesn't?
Bente loses. And that's not me giving him a get-out-of-jail card. I just gave you an example. If you were to play the French in the final of the World Cup, some hypothetical scenario, and we to play a game where we're bold and we play on the front foot and we're not waiting for the opposition to do something to us, we're at the opposition, taking advantage and opportunities, and we go to a penalty shootout because both teams have played a wonderful game and drawn 2-0 and we lose because someone misses a penalty. What do? Say to Thomas Tuchel, you failed. I know in the binary world that I would have it sometimes. You either win or you lose. Everyone can come second. It's not difficult. Just turn up. But there is a way that England... I'm looking at this tournament going, for once, beat someone that we, on paper, can't.
Get ready to get the ultimate football fan winning feeling with talkSPORT Win.
So listen up, the FIFA World Cup kicks off Thursday. talkSPORT is sending you and a mate straight to New York to see England live with Adidas, the tournament's official match ball supplier. We're talking a trip to watch England face Panama, return flights, hotel, match tickets, spending money, all taken care of, plus Adidas throwing in the official try-under match ball and a fresh pair of boots as well. Ready to get that winning feeling? Here's how to enter. For your chance to win, head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Texts and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by 4 p.m. this Friday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a talkSPORT promotion. Full T's and C's at talksportwin.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Let's head back to Everton. Another goal for talkSPORT's Matt Jones.
And it has been coming. England 2, Ukraine 0. It's Georgia Stanway who's got it. It's tapping at the back post, but she does really well to get there. Some good build-up play by England down the left-hand side. The ball eventually comes into her from Russo from the left, and diving in there at the back post, just about able to get a toe on it, and poke home is Stanway to double England's lead. England 2, Ukraine 0.
And to let you know that Spain still lead 1-0 in Iceland in a key game that affects the Lionesses in that World Cup qualifying group. As it stands, England will have to go through a playoff in the autumn to qualify for the World Cup in Brazil next summer. Right, let's hear from Mark Gay. He's been speaking one-to-one with our own England correspondent, Faker Others.
Mark, it's great to see you, as always. Costa Rica, final game before the World Cup kicks off. What are your thoughts going into this one?
Everyone's been training well. I think everyone's obviously still at different stages, but getting closer to where we want to be as a squad. And yeah, it's important that we try and up the performance, up the intensity in this game, since it's going to be the last one just before the start. But everyone's in a good place.
Good to hear. What's the difference between Mark Gahey wanting to get into the England squad in 2022 versus the one that's in it now?
Well, to say a lot more games under my belt, a lot more moments in which I can look back on, and I'd say take moments from, and hopefully bring a little bit of experience into this squad. So I'd say two completely different marks, but still with the same hunger and desire to do well.
Yeah. How has it been having the Arsenal players back? So the group is complete now, if you like, and obviously you're good friends with Ebbs. What have you said to him? You obviously had the joy of the Premier League win and then the heartbreak of the Champions League defeat.
Yeah, like you say, it's good to have everyone in the squad now. Makes everything feel whole now, which is nice. And with Ebbs, I just congratulated on the Premier League. Absolutely unbelievable achievement, especially going there first season and doing that. The whole Champions League, I didn't watch the game, so there's no comment from me there, to be honest, but just spoke about the highs, which is also important.
Yeah, highs always important versus the lows, for sure. I want to talk to you about some of those highs, the past 6 months under Pep Guardiola, and what that's been like for you. What's it done to your game, and how can that benefit England?
Yeah, with Pep, it's been unreal. I would have loved a few more years with him, but I'll take what I can get, to be honest. He's definitely changed my game. I've said it many times. The thought process behind certain things have gone up a level, and yeah, hopefully I can bring some of that into the squad, help those around me, but just ultimately try and be the best that I can for my teammates.
Yeah, I read some of your comments in an article with the Times about how you change as a defender and how your thought process, and actually it's more of a mental game than a technical game, and it was fascinating. I wonder what the differences are between what Pep Guardiola brings to your game versus what Thomas Tuchel brings to your game.
It's actually not that different, to be honest. They're both in a way saying the same things, similar messages. I'd say it's just done in a different way, whereas I'd say Thomas has come from a place of, that German football. It's very, let's say, rock and roll. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's really go for it as quick as possible, but still with the same messages, whereas Pep is coming from a place of maybe slower build up, but still with the same outcome, still with the same effect. So yeah, both have been instrumental, and both have been fantastic.
What do you think? Because obviously this is the longest amount of time you'll get coaching with Thomas, and as you said, you didn't get long enough, you felt, with Pep. So what can you learn within the tournament that Thomas brings that's maybe a bit different?
I mean, we're learning quite a bit now, to be fair. We've had a lot of time to work on many things, and the things that he wants us to focus going into this tournament and the way we want to play. So yeah, I feel like we're already learning quite a bit, and hopefully we can take those messages into the rest of the tournament.
I think it's widely thought that you're a guaranteed starter. I know you'll probably differ with me when I say that. I don't know how humble you are, but the question is maybe who partners you. What different qualities do John Stones and Ezri Konsa have that complement you and your skill set?
Yeah, I'd say they're still both fantastic players. It's hard to say because they're both coming from a school of managers that like to play on the ball, and they're both amazing ball-playing centre-halves, but both have unbelievable awareness defensively and show their qualities each and every game as leaders in their own different ways. So yeah, they possess different things, but I think overall fantastic quality.
Obviously, you know John a bit more for your time at Manchester City, and he's not played much this season, but Thomas has confirmed that that's not for fitness reasons. How difficult is that for him, and does that change your game and your dynamic? Obviously you played together the other night.
Yeah, I think John's a fantastic professional and will always be in the best shape possible for whatever game or whatever competition. It was nice to actually play with him. It's been a long time and we've both looking forward to it. We didn't get the opportunity at City, which was a shame, but to be fair, it doesn't really matter. Whoever plays, the most important is just to do the best for the team and try and make England fans proud.
Brilliant. Last quick question for you, and it's just on the weather conditions and how we may be getting thunderstorms in Orlando. What kind of prep have you done for that if you are having to be taken off? What goes through players' minds in that circumstance?
Yeah, I think to be fair, we've kind of been prepped already. There was one training session that got delayed because of thunderstorms out here, so it was literally just go back inside, try and stay ready for when it does pass. So yeah, we've had the best possible preparation for that. So I think that's going to help us if that does happen at some point in the tournament. So yeah, all good.
Brilliant. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Mark Gahey with talkSPORT's England correspondent Faye Carruthers, and we'll talk more about the partnerships of Gahey with Konsa or Gahey with John Stones in just a second. But Stuart, a quick word there on what you said about how he would have wanted a few more seasons with Pep. Is that the giveaway that he genuinely didn't know when he signed in January that Pep was going to be leaving this summer?
There's no chance that he knew. I don't think the way he spoke just then. Who wouldn't want more years working with Pep? You know, one of the top managers the world of football's ever seen. So he's delighted that he's made the move. I think for his career as well, it advanced his career. I think we've seen some of the shoots of that as well at this early stage. But listen, he's a top player.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And very interesting what he had to say with regards when Faye asked him that quite tricky question about, you know, Konsa's qualities and Stone's qualities. We'll get into that very shortly on talkSPORT. England's women are 2-0 up against Ukraine at Everton in the World Cup qualifier, but Spain are also 2-0 up away to Iceland. They lead 2-0. Both those games heading up towards half-time. It's talkSPORT live in Orlando at the World Cup.
Obviously, we've got you on to talk about France and the French squad. How confident is the country of going all the way? Because every single person I speak to, and I say, who's going to win it? Everyone I've spoken to says France first.
When you look at the squad, I think we can say we favourites to win the tournament. But I don't know. I've got to say I'm a bit worried because I've watched the last few games and we are conceding goals, and I don't know, Mbappe looks like he's not in his best shape yet. And, you know, I think coming into the World Cup when you're heavy favourites is not easy. So, I don't know. I think we'll be up there, but there's other teams that can win it as well.
France have got an outstanding forward line, haven't they, Neil? I mean, look at Elise's form, Dembele, Mbappe, Barcola, Doué. But like you says, is it the defence? Maybe a full-back, left-back, right-back? Do you think that's where they might let themselves down?
I think that the defense is a bit of a problem right now. I've seen a stat yesterday watching the game. I think in the last, they've conceded a goal in the last 5 or 6 games, and that hadn't happened in years, I think. So, which for me is not a good sign before tournament. And also, like you said, we've got a lot of amazing forwards and strikers, but I think the downside of it is also, can they defend? Can they help the team when is going to be needed? And I think we've seen this season Mbappe.
talkSPORT live in Florida ahead of the World Cup. England's men play their final warm-up game. Well, actually, we've just found out it's not the final warm-up game. They play Costa Rica here tomorrow. We'll have that live on talkSPORT. England's women doing their part of the job at Everton. Half-time for talkSPORT's Matt Jones.
They are indeed. England 2, Ukraine 0 in this final World Cup qualifier, and it's been a completely dominant display from England so far. They took the lead after 14 minutes. It was Jess Carter who got the goal, heading home at the back post from a floated Lauren James cross, and then they made it 2 on 37. Stanway this time converting, prodding home at the back post from a Russo low ball. Other than that, there have been a string of fine chances and saves. Hemp probably having the best of them as that was pushed around the post, and Russo should probably have scored from close range with an effort that went wide, as should Letitia. So Serena Wiegmann will be pretty happy with how her side are playing, but she probably inevitably is not too pleased with what's going on in Iceland. It's Iceland 0, Spain 3 in that other qualifier in this group, and that means Spain will finish top of the group if scores stay the same, meaning England will have to go into a playoff in the autumn. At the break here at Hill Dickinson Stadium, it's England 2, Ukraine 0.
Let's react more to what Mark Gahey was saying. Stuart Pearce, and he was talking about concert and Stones and partnership he'll have. I think we're safe to say Faye's right. He is the number one centre-back. He is going to be starting for England, Mark Gahey. And I think, listen, he's going to say the right thing. He's going to be comfortable playing with either of them, but both ball-playing centre-halves. He said both are leaders in their own way, but he did say they have different qualities. So what qualities do you read into both players?
Well, John Stones I'll probably look at and say he's probably a little bit cleaner on the ball than Konsa, maybe, you know, and I'll be maybe doing him a slight disservice there potentially. Konsa, I find him more of a looser defender, if you like, a slightly more aggressive defender. I think John Stones is happy to nick it off your toes type, you know. But listen, I think there's two players there. As I say, John is probably the silkier of the two. Is probably the best way to describe the pair of them, if possible.
Of course, it's fair. I mean, this is what Jim's been saying all along, that he felt John Stones would be picked because of the experience that he's got. And then maybe that's the big thing, Jim, between the two of them, that tournament experience, England experience for John Stones will count in his favour.
Well, it'll be his 89th cap tomorrow, but he's played in all of England's last 26 matches at major tournaments. That's just experience that you can't buy. He's got the experience of Jordan Pickford behind him in all of those games as well. It's all about relationships on the field. But, 26 tournament games in a row is, an epic achievement. And that has to count against Ezri Konsa, really, who has started one, I think it is, when he deputised during the Euros. Or when he came in and England changed the shape. I think that Stones will be the first choice. It's going to be interesting to see how things get managed, though, because Thomas Tuchel was talking in his press conference about the fact that there is this additional behind closed doors friendly, which we understand is going to be against Miami. So I would guess that the game against Miami, the starting 11, certainly for the first hour of that or so, will be the starting 11 against Croatia. So what does he do in terms of the 11 that he's going to play against Costa Rica tomorrow? Is it a team that replicates that, or is it going to be the complete opposite of it, or is it going to be a mix and match team again? I don't know how he would approach it.
No, I don't think any of us do. He'll have those plans in his mind. It sort of took me by surprise a little bit that he was going to take another game straight away. Makes sense. You don't want one too near the start in case you do get those little niggles that take 4 or 5 days to resolve themselves. So you don't want to be playing probably Saturday, Sunday. If you're going to wheel the same players out again, you couldn't after Wednesday play them Thursday, Friday potentially. Not if they're playing 75 minutes plus. So that would be interesting. Can I just go to the point? I made notes about what Thomas Tuchel said, and when he was talking about John Stones, fluid positionally. Now, he might see him in that respect a bit more than Konsa. You probably wouldn't say Konsa is fluently positionally, can go into midfield, can do this, can do that. He's more of a naturalised central defender or right back, if you like. So that might just get John Stones the nod if he wants to do something tactically, Jim.
Particularly in matches where you're playing against teams where you're going to dominate possession in the group stages, and you need somebody to come and try and break the lines and provide an extra body in midfield and numerical overload there. That would make a lot of sense. But, as we've said all along, I think with Stones, he's got to be managed so carefully in terms of the physical load, bearing in mind that he's played, 183 minutes of Premier League football since the end of August, that you're going to need both of them realistically over the course of the tournament, and it may well be that if England can manoeuvre themselves into positions where they've won games early on, if they have a decent lead after an hour in a game, John's the first man off and they'll bring Konsa on, and they're just trying to manage his load that way.
I would be interested to know, just from my knowledge point of view really, about how he's going to manage this game on the Thursday against Miami, whether he's going to condense it to sort of 30 minutes or make it a tactical game and use it as a tactical training session as much as 45 minutes. I would have thought they'd break it down. I'm intrigued. It'd be interesting to see whether Faye would get an insight going forward on that one for us.
We'll get a steer from Faye as and when she's finished with the England camp for this evening. In terms of, listen, from the outside, when John Stones was picked for the squad, a lot of people were surprised, myself included, and a lot of people criticised the decision, saying, we got Maguire there who's been playing, you picked John Stones who isn't playing. Stuart, is this a great example of a manager who really knows what he wants for his starting 11, and John Stones was what he wanted because of that fluid position that you're talking about and the fact that he's so elegant on the ball? And he's got that tournament experience as well with England. Is this an example of a manager really knowing who he wanted and sticking by him and maybe taking a risk by bringing him to this World Cup? But actually, in his mind, Thomas Tuchel, he thinks he knows what England need to go on and win this World Cup. And that's John Stones starting games at the back, going into midfield, doing what he does on the ball, and maybe lasting every game for 60 to 70 minutes, Konsa coming on and finishing the job off. Once England have got into a position where they're winning the game, that's the theory. We hope it's borne out in practice. And maybe if there's a dead end of group game like the Panama game, then Konsa plays in that one. But is it we should be more confident in Thomas Tuchel because he knows in his mind exactly what he wants and he's confident enough to do it despite criticism?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's shown over this last year that he's prepared to make toughish decisions and not the popularist decisions that everyone ticks along as they are well done, you know, and shoehorning some of the big players in. His squad selections testament for that because you've got Foden at home, you've got Palmer at home, you've got Maguire at home. Maybe even Luke Shaw might be thrown into that mix as well, you know, whose name was muted about. So he's prepared to do those things. And also as well, he's got the comfort blanket of a 26-man squad as well, you know, which enables you to pick one or two players outside that you think, I'm prepared to take a punt on John Stones, or might be even Reece James, who's lightly raced, if you like.
I find it absolutely fascinating. One other element from what Thomas Tuchel said, and it was kind of reflected in what Mark Gahey said. Gahey was talking about how the difference between Pep and Tuchel's much faster pace, come from the German league, etc. And Thomas Tuchel has been promising this intensity of play. He mentioned it again tonight in the press conference, ball speed, we're ready for it, etc. So we're expecting to see a high-tempo England at this World Cup. That's what Thomas Tuchel is saying. It's what Mark Gahey is saying as well. So if they don't deliver that, then people will have a right to criticise, I think.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about playing at that tempo in this climate, it doesn't go hand in hand. It doesn't mean you can't do it for shorter bursts, though. So what you're saying is don't get into the habit of slow, too slow. It might be you might have to play in a slow rhythm to really explode and have real impact at times, and then slow the game back down again.
And it'd be interesting to see whether we see any insight of that in the game against Costa Rica tomorrow, or whether it is going to be played at a similar kind of tempo to that against New Zealand, whether we do get a 5-minute burst here and there of proper, intense fifth-gear football.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. It's live on talkSPORT. England against Costa Rica here in Orlando, Florida. And don't forget, there's more boxing this weekend with a DAZN Saturday Fight Night doubleheader live from Manchester. Watch Beauty versus the Beast, where Eddie Hall faces Tommy Fury in a heavyweight showdown featuring a remarkable 100-pound weight difference. Then later in the evening, watch pound-for-pound star Jesse Bam Rodriguez returns in Arizona, aiming to make history by becoming a 3-weight world champion. Join DAZN Ultimate and get 12 plus pay-per-views a year, including Fury versus Hall this weekend at no extra cost.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
People in the pub aren't sitting around in the pubs talking about accessibility. We are. The media are. We're creating conversations to be able to confect outrage, to be able to create content. Most people accept it. They accept the reality of the circumstances that these premium games, these premium tournaments have a caveat which means that ultimately they're beyond the reach of most people. That doesn't make it right. I'm not arguing for the right and wrong of it. I'm putting the pragmatic reality of it. I do not know, and at this moment in time I'm not sure that we do know, the reason why this referee wasn't allowed in the country. If he didn't meet the visa requirements...
He hasn't met the vetting requirements, is what I'm
told. So that's not a mess. That's an issue from his side, and it's an issue from the people that represent him. As far as the Iranians are concerned, with due respect to whether you like it or you don't like it, the US is at war with Iran. It's hardly a surprise that you are not going to particularly want Iranian supporters coming into the country, despite the proclamation at the time, with the circumstances that Infantino was orchestrating and illustrating, that we want it to be the most inclusive World Cup you could possibly be, and it will be available to everybody. But there are exceptions. If you don't meet your visa requirements, and if you're at war with a country, those are possibly reasonable exceptions. You've now got a World Cup that's got 48 teams rather than 32. So already you're making it more accessible.
Yeah.
So there are lots of pros and cons. What we are doing is we're doing what media usually does, which is find a reason to find something other than the football to talk about. And I quite like that, because I don't want to spend my entire time talking about who plays left back for Costa Rica. But I get the parameters of every tournament comes up, whether it was Russia, whether it was South Africa, the stadiums weren't going to be built, whether it was Russia because of the nature of that country's...
It's 2010, and the Goalkeepers Union is up in arms. Why? This thing, the Jabulani, perhaps the most famous World Cup match ball for moving, it seemed, in 3 directions at once. But that wasn't the first match ball row, not by a long shot. In 1930, the World Cup final began with a fight, not between the players, but about the ball. Argentina brought theirs, and Uruguay brought theirs, and when neither backed down, they played 45 minutes with each. Uruguay, with the T model, came out on top. This was the era when balls were heavy. They were classics, sure, but they could double in weight during a thunderstorm. Before we go on, I will tell you that the 1962 ball was called Mr. Crack. A ball that was so heavy when wet, several European teams refused to use it. Instead, the 1958 Top Star was used, most famously for the quarter-final between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. By '66, we had the Slazenger Challenge. Because people watched They Think It's All Over in black and white, we forget the ball was actually bright orange or red, whatever that colour is. But it looked like a floating smudge to people at home. The World Cup match ball needed a makeover. Enter the Telstar. 32 black and white panels. It was stylish, it was modern, and it meant goalkeepers could finally see the thing that was about to ruin their afternoon. It was also the start of an Adidas monopoly. 1986 was the dawn of a new age. The Azteca was the first fully synthetic ball, meaning it didn't soak up water. Recently, though, things have got weird. 2002 gave us the Fever Nova, basically a high-tech frisbee, and then, of course, the Jabulani. Today, the balls have internal sensors that tell the VAR room if someone breathed on it. We've come a long way. But the ball's not the main thing, is it, FIFA? It's just a ball.
talkSPORT live in Orlando, Florida, ahead of a game that's here tomorrow in Orlando. England take on Costa Rica in a World Cup warm-up, and as we just found out, they've got another game next week behind closed doors against, we believe, Miami FC. Who's Stuart Pearce? They've got a player who had a spell in the youth team at Wealdstone, your old club.
He certainly would have had a good education in football then, there is no doubt about that. He's come through the Stones Academy.
Arthur Rogers, I'm not sure if he'll play or not, but we'll see. But yeah, that's could be a big test. In terms of a big test, I don't think it will be, but in terms of preparation for the World Cup, I think it will be, because it's a couple of days before England kick off against Croatia, and of course talkSPORT will be there. All 104 games will be live and official on the talkSPORT network. More coverage of World Cup 2026 than anyone else, and the best analysis as well. And on England duty will be Stuart Pearce, former England captain, giving all his analysis. And in terms of Thomas Tuchel and what he had to say, from what we heard in the press conference, and we'll be hearing more from him very shortly, there was a promise of high intensity. He also spoke about Declan Rice being the vice captain, and it seems like a natural choice.
100% it does. You know, he's an. I think it's the next evolution for Dec to be a permanent captain. I'm quite surprised he's not Arsenal captain at this moment in time. I really am.
Let's head to the England camp. Faye Carruthers has been speaking with Mark Gahey. We heard that. We'll hear her interview with Thomas Tuchel very shortly as well. Faye, everybody seemed very positive, and we now know there's a couple of games to go before England's World Cup campaign kicks off.
Yeah, they'll play Miami FC, as you said, the day after the Costa Rica game. So more practice, more minutes in the legs, which is how Thomas Tuchel has been describing it for the players. He's also confirmed to me that they're going to play about 60, 70 minutes each against Costa Rica, or certainly the starters will, obviously. So preparations ramping up. He's talked about it being the next step for the players as they build into this tournament. Then they'll have a couple of days off with their families, who've been, many of whom have been here in West Palm Beach, so they've been able to see them in the afternoons and spend the evenings with them as well before getting back to work. And then the real work begins when they move to Kansas around about the 12th, 13th of June, ahead of that big game against Croatia, kicking things off.
And of course the debate about Bellingham or Rodgers has now turned to a debate about, is it going to be Stones or Konsa alongside Mark Gahey? You asked Mark Gahey a question about both of those potential partners for him. What are you reading into it? What do you think will happen come that game against Croatia?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's difficult because Thomas Tuchel loves John Stones, really appreciates him as a player, leadership qualities, etc. But he hasn't played that much football. Although Thomas Tuchel did confirm that, you know, he may not have played many minutes, but he's been fit enough to play. And it was quite funny watching Mark's reaction when I mentioned John. His face lit up when he talked about playing with him for the first time. He was really looking forward to it because he didn't get the opportunity to do that at Manchester City. Obviously, we know the qualities that Ezri Konsa has as well, and arguably you could look at the season that he's had and it's been more successful than John's has been, but you know, the experience that John Stones has and has had with England in particular and Manchester City previously is not to be ignored and is really important going into a major final. So I don't know, I think it's going to depend on training, it's going to depend on what combinations they have, but I think it's great options, because how many times have we come into a major tournament with England thinking that there is only one solid centre-back partnership, and now we've got two.
Yeah, it is. I think Thomas Tuchel as well, we've highlighted from the press conference that he's been talking about how, you know, he wants that high intensity. Mark Gahey mentioned it in the interview with you as well, how he comes from fast football in Germany, etc. So he's kind of sticking it out there, Thomas Tuchel. He's saying this is how we're going to play, this is what you can expect, and that's what the fans will be expecting England to deliver.
Yeah, I think Mark described it as rock and roll football, and I was thinking maybe he was thinking heavy metal and just getting the two genres mixed up potentially. But that did amuse me a little bit. But yeah, you know, all of these players are used to playing that kind of intensity, and he talked about John Stones and Ezri Konsa both having ball-playing managers, which, you know, when you look at the balance of Thomas Tuchel's squad and how he's assembled them, you know, they all play similar styles in many ways, but there is a balance response to it, and I think that's really important. And yeah, they want to, and it's very difficult in this heat, by the way, because just before he came and sat down with me, Mark was asked about the temperatures out here, and he said the first day he really struggled. I think they've acclimatised now, the players, but you know, training in that heat, let alone playing a full 90 minutes in that heat, is very, very different. So it's difficult to play that brand of football when the conditions are like this. But that was the whole point of this Florida series and these 3, as we now know it, games that they're going to be doing before they face Croatia.
Faye, is there any hint as to the kind of team that will be played tomorrow? Are we going to be able to read into the starting 11 for the match tomorrow what the starting 11 might be against Croatia?
Well, funnily enough, Jim, I asked exactly that question to Thomas, so you'll hear his answer in full, but from memory he pretty much said, which I knew that he would do, that it may do and it may not. So, you know, he just doesn't like to give his team away at all. He says there's no benefit to it whatsoever, and I understand his thinking in that. He also said you're not going to have the same starting 11 for the whole 8 games in the tournament, which, you know, we know is also realistic. So I think, yes, it could resemble it in some way, but there's still a lot of training sessions to have. They've still got a few days in Kansas before they head to Dallas and face Croatia, and a lot could happen in that time. So you can't really tell. You can say what it would be on paper, but there's a lot of things that can happen in that time. So, you know, I understand when he says that, but also they have to be smart. You know, why give your opponents any advantage by playing exactly the same as you're likely to play against them?
Faye, I'm a little bit surprised that they put a training ground game in. Was that something that was planned before they arrived here, or has that just been picked up and thought, hang on, this could work quite well for us?
Yeah, I haven't asked enough questions about that yet, because I've literally just come straight out of the interviews and straight into this, and you know, found out about it a little bit earlier, and as I say, it's just been so relentless, haven't found out exactly why, but it was reported it might be potential a few days ago. So I don't think that they'd have just decided ad hoc to do that. You know, they have meticulously planned this entire 2 weeks, and then obviously meticulously planned going to Kansas. So I think it clearly makes sense from their point of view, and maybe they will do something slightly different. It's behind closed doors as well, so nobody can see anything, and that's smart in my opinion.
Yeah, we're getting Tonda Eckert on the case right now, Faye. Listen, I know that you've asked Thomas Tuchel about the Arsenal players and their return, and we're going to hear your interview with him very shortly. But from what you've seen, because you attended a bit of training earlier and in and around those press conferences and interviews, I know that you see the players milling around, but are the Gooners okay? Are the Arsenal players okay?
Yeah, they look really well, actually. And I asked Mark Gahey about Ebbs, because obviously they're good friends from their days at Crystal Palace together, and he said he's in good spirits. He said he just congratulated him on the Premier League win, didn't mention the Champions League. And actually Thomas said he didn't feel as if any of the Arsenal players needed an arm around them when they came into camp after that disappointment of losing the Champions League final. So I think they're just excited to be in and around the camp, and certainly from what I saw in training this morning and from the footage that I've seen of them meeting up when they first reconnected with the players, they're all just really delighted to be there and be part of the camp again and raring to go.
Yeah, and I know there's a question that you always get asked in these interviews, the mood in the camp. Okay, so I'm not exactly going to ask it like that. But it feels like we've said this before, I said it last night, that they all seem to get on very well. And Thomas Tuchel has said as well that he loves being around the players. It's when he's at his happiest as well. Do you sense, from different tournaments you've been to, do you sense something very different about this time with England?
Well, the thing is, previously I maybe thought it felt like a performance at times. So training sessions before, when we have like the 15-minute open training session, for example, and they play games and, you know, they're laughing and joking about, sometimes it felt as if it was being done for the cameras. It didn't feel as necessarily as natural, even though it may have been. But we were in a kind of different media era then, so that might have been part of it. Equally, I think these players all know each other so well, and they've been together for quite a while well now, and this brotherhood that Thomas Tuchel has talked about building, you can certainly see it. It doesn't feel anything false about it. You know, they've had opportunities to spend time with their families, as I mentioned, and many of them still coming back and spending time with each other at the same time because they enjoy each other's company. They're all a pretty chilled and relaxed group of players, and you can really tell that when you see them in training. You can tell that when they come and speak to us in the media, and even just speaking to Mark then, you know, you get the impression very much they're relaxed in each other's company and they realise how important that is, and the relaxed camaraderie is the most important thing. It's not kind of forced. It's not, you know, we all have to be together and we all have to look like we're getting on. I think they genuinely all get on, and you know, you saw that when Elliot Anderson was talking about the fact that Harry Kane had arranged for Brooks Koepka to play a round of golf with them. You know, former world #1, and we're so close here. The PGA Boulevard is just down the road from West Palm Gardens, which is where they've been Palm Beach Gardens, even where they've been training. You know, it's a massive golf area around here, and to get that opportunity, Elliot said, was fantastic. And John Stones, Jordan Pickford, Jason Steele all play golf together with Harry Kane. Elliot Anderson was part of that five as well that got to go on around with a former world #1. You know, you can't buy that kind of stuff. It's incredible, and those kind of experiences, and the more experiences like that they have together on the pitch and off the pitch, you know, the closer they'll be.
Yeah, hopefully. One final one, Faye. Thomas Tuchel in the press conference said that his quote was, "We dream big," but he also said we're not heavy favourites. When you look into his eyes when you're interviewing him one-on-one, when you see the whites of his eyes, do you see somebody there who has a full confidence and conviction that he can take this team to World Cup glory this summer in North America?
Yeah, absolutely I do. He's a winner. He believes in this group of players, and that's vital. You know, if they get any hint that he doesn't think that they can do it, or, you know, they'd be lucky to get to the final, he has full belief that they can get to the final. He's not stupid. He's been around the block, and he knows that they are going to have a little bit of luck on their side. They're going to have to hope that they keep injuries at bay. You know, there's all kind of different factors, as you know, that come into to winning a World Cup. You don't know how the draw is going to pan out, how other groups pan out, how your own group pans out. There's so many different differentials with it, that he's realistic in that way. But does he have full belief that this squad of players actually have the capability of getting to a final and potentially winning the World Cup for England? Yes, he absolutely does.
Brilliant, Faye. Thank you very much. Good work this evening. Speaking of Mark Gay, speaking of Thomas Tuchel, we'll hear Faye's interview with Thomas Tuchel very shortly, and then talking to us. And confident that Thomas Tuchel is confident that he can deliver. In the Women's World Cup qualifiers, England still 2-0 up at Everton. They're into the second half. Spain 4-1 up away to Iceland now. So England going to have to go through the playoffs, it seems. We will hear from Thomas Tuchel next.
Fozzie, you're a lot older than me, so you would have seen more England goalkeepers. But does Pickford? For me, he does. Does Pickford rank as your best ever England goalkeeper?
Yeah, he does, without doubt. I still just think he's got so many more years left in the tank in him as well. He's found a level now, especially over the last, I'd probably say 4 or 5 years, even in the Premier League, where he just knows what he's doing and he's in full control of everything he's doing, apart from his emotions, because he still goes absolutely crazy on the pitch and watching, running around. But I know what I'm going to get from him. I'm going to get a 7.5 out of 10 every single England performance. Yes. And to have that from a goalkeeper is, honestly, it's worth its weight in gold.
What do you think about the squad of players that the managers picked? I thought Harry Maguire should have been picked. I thought Lewis Hall at left back should have been picked. What was your thoughts on the squad, mate?
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand a few here or there, but I think Harry Maguire was my big surprise. I went to the Japan game at Wembley a couple of months ago, and it was awful. Honestly, it was a brutal game. And our best chance of scoring came in the last sort of 15 minutes when Harry Maguire came on. I think he had 2 chances from corners. And that's what it brings you. If you're an opposition team and you see big slabhead coming on, honestly, mate, it strikes fear in you. As a goalkeeper, I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. This is carnage. This is. So not only for the season that he's had defensively for Manchester United, but for what he offers in the box as well. I would have thought it would have just been a no-brainer.
We got just over a week to England's first game. What's that wait like as a player, Ben?
I don't think they'll be thinking about it yet, to be honest. I think they've still got another 1 or 2 friendlies as one more, to go between that. They'll be just focusing in on getting through that game. You see, there's been so many teams who have had star players get injured in these little friendlies that you can't really read anything into them. You really can't. You're not going to get sort of everything out of them players in them games because
talkSPORT live in Orlando. England 2, Ukraine 0. Spain 4-1 up away to Iceland in the Women's World Cup qualifiers. The Men's World Cup, the tournament itself is just around the corner. And we've got it all live on talkSPORT. And we're here in Orlando because England take on Costa Rica in a warm-up game tomorrow. We'll have that live. Big 2-hour build-up to the game with us three, Stuart, Pearce, Jim Proudfoot and myself ahead of the game tomorrow to look at the World Cup itself and, of course, at England and their chances. Let's hear from Thomas Tuchel, shall we? The England manager has been speaking with talkSPORT's Faker Carruthers.
Thomas, Costa Rica, final game before the World Cup. What are your thoughts going into this? How are you going to manage it?
We want to take the next step and 2 days to prepare it. I think the Arsenal players are back, so we have full squad available, and we want to take the next step in terms of intensity on the ball, off the ball. It would be important to finish the pre-camp on a positive note, so that's what it is. We will give the players 60-70 minutes. That's basically it.
And what are you expecting from them? What kind of test are they going to give you that's going to help?
Like I said, like a step up in intensity on and off the ball. I don't really know what's coming. Costa Rica has a new coach and they change formations many times. They're getting better and better defensively, but yeah, it is more about us than about them. We want to take the next step and finish this camp properly.
And bearing in mind 60-70 minutes for each player, how much is the starting 11 in Orlando going to reflect the starting 11 in Dallas for the opening game?
I don't know because it makes no. It's even if I had it in mind, so much can happen. We have like this match now. We have a private match the day after. We have 4 training sessions to prepare Croatia, and Croatia will offer completely different things than Costa Rica. Maybe the starting 11 is the same starting 11 like against Croatia. Maybe there will always be chances for changes. I'm not even sure yet.
You know how obsessed we all are with it, though.
Yeah, I know, but I just focus on the next match, and this is what it is. And then even if we come to the point of the starting 11 against Croatia, it will very likely not be the same starting 11 for 8 matches. So it's not a big a deal, but I know that's a big deal for you guys.
It is, as is the question over who starts in the 10. I know you're not going to tell me the answer to that, but I've got a couple of questions on it instead. What do Morgan Rogers and Jude Bellingham bring to the team individually, and the differences between them maybe that enhance England in different ways?
They're just top football players, both of them. Morgan is a bit more vertical than Jude in his game, but both of them are fantastic players. Morgan, key player for Aston Villa, got a European title, played 5,000 minutes, I think. Is a proper machine, and is non-stop available and getting better and better. We could feel in the first days of camp that Morgan needs a bit of time to restart the engine. condition, but he got stronger and stronger in the last 2 training sessions. Jude, after his injury, trains with a lot of joy, played with a lot of joy. He's just happy to be back on the pitch, which is not a surprise, and is actually something we can use because he hasn't played so many minutes. Comes back from injury, so he's in a sweet spot at the moment. They give us very different things, but both of them give us a lot of quality. They both give us physicality, and they can also play together. But it's also nice to have one of them finishing a match when things get hot, when opponents get tired. To have one of these guys with other guys coming from the bench can be a huge asset through the tournament.
Yeah, I can see that completely. With that in mind, you mentioned the minutes there. As you said, Morgan's played over 5,000 minutes, and because of Jude's injury, I think he's played just over half that. Yeah. So does that play into your thinking at all?
Yeah, of course, and we can just see it, and hopefully we will. Like the tournament is a long tournament. It's one more game per se, and then it's hot, it's humid. Maybe we have to deal with altitude, and hopefully we enter the stages where it's possibility to play 120 minutes. We need to think also about what is the team that should finish matches, what is the team that finishes matches off and gives problems, creates problems from the bench. That will just buy into all our decisions, and the players know that there will be no big deal around within the group. But of course, I know that some positions we have just a lot of quality. Don't forget, we have also Epps on the number 10. He plays for Arsenal very regularly on the right 10. So big players, big personalities, and we need it.
Wow, brilliant interview. We'll get stuck into a lot of what Thomas Tuchel said there. Some really interesting stuff in just a moment. Another goal, though, at Everton for Matt Jones.
Yeah, it's England 3, Ukraine 0 as we approach the 70-minute mark. It's the half-time substitute Beth Mead who's got it, a delightful free kick which she finds the far bottom corner with from about 20 yards out, given away for a shirt pull on Hemp right on the edge of the area, and she bends it around the defender who she uses as a guide to beat the goalkeeper. It's no more than England deserve. Slightly more scrappy this second half than in the first when they were completely dominant, but they have a resounding lead. Unfortunately, in terms of World Cup qualification, it's not going to mean much because Spain are beating Iceland 5-1, and remember, England needed to better Spain's result tonight to have any hopes of direct qualification for the World Cup. But it is England 3, Ukraine 0.
Yeah, Claudio Pina with the latest goal for Spain, 5-1 up in Iceland. But wow, Jim Proudfoot, Thomas Tuchel, revealing a lot in the interview with talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers.
Yeah, it was interesting. And he made the point 2 or 3 times, didn't he, about the fact that we have to look at the team that's going to finish matches as if to underline that is every bit as important, if not more important, than the way that England start. And he also made the point, and he didn't quite labour it, but he was very clear that he sees Morgan Rogers as a player who is more vertical in his approach. So that made me think more than ever that he sees Jude as the starter and Morgan Rogers as a player that will come off the bench and potentially will be the finisher for England.
Can I just ask, the vertical comment, what exactly does that mean?
Don't ask me, I don't know.
I was left floored by that.
Does that mean he goes from back to front a little bit more readily than
I don't know.
Yeah, that he will play. Yeah, that he will play between the lines. That he will be able to take the ball. And this is my interpretation of what he meant.
No,
he will take the ball and will be prepared to take on defenders in a way that Jude might do that with an eye for a pass or with movement, where Rodgers is a little bit more direct. That was my understanding of it. But.
I can understand that. You've made it make sense. Thank you very much.
All believable.
He also said Morgan Rogers needed more time to restart the engines, but Jude, despite the injury, has been training with joy. Do you read anything into that?
Yeah, I do. There's put a seed of doubt in my mind about who'll start. With that,
you've been Rodgers.
With literally that line. As soon as he said that, he's had a look and he thought, maybe Morgan Rogers just needs a little game or two. So that'll be interesting. I'll stick to my prediction that he'll start him, but that's given me a seed of doubt.
Yeah, I wonder why he's revealing that as well, because we've already worked out he's a very intelligent man. But he's actually putting that out there. He doesn't have to tell us any of that, does he? But he's putting that out there, and I wonder why.
Let's give him credit. Maybe he's just an honest man that threw it out there. Like, you know, when we interviewed him a year ago, the one thing that struck me, he's not a politician as a footballer. He'll give you an honest answer to an honest question. You know, when we threw the question at him, which player in world football would you want in the England team? A lot of managers would sidestep that. He went Rodri straight away. You know, there you go. There's your answer. And I think he'll give you an honest answer. That's why he's give us what he actually has then, and we can sort of pull that to bits.
Okay, so if you were the manager, and you've talked about closers for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been looking at England. Who's your closer? What do you see as the front four to finish a game?
You're asking me which ones do I think have got the best impact. I think Eza could be quite good at that respect. I think Rashford's a good finisher. I really do. If I was looking for a goal and I thought, who am I going to throw on to get me a goal? Marcus Rashford will probably be one of those names. I think he'll start, and I think he's got himself slightly ahead of Gordon. But if you're asking me solely a question now, not what team to pick at whatever day, which ones of these players, I think Madueke is in that ilk as well. I think he's a little bit more direct than Saka. So I would say he would be one, Rashford the other, Eza definitely to do that, and then you're changing centre forwards if you want to do so.
It's interesting that, I mean, you talk about who's the best finisher, but surely it depends on the game. If you're 1-0 down, 1-0 up, it does depend. So Anthony Gordon, for example, if we're 1-0 up and need to defend that lead, I would have him as a finisher because he's up and down and he can defend as well as, you know, be a threat at the other end. Do you know what I mean? If we need a goal, Rashford, I think you're absolutely right.
Sure, but you don't know when you're picking your starting 11 and thinking who you're going to be leaving on the bench, whether you're going to be 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go. But I completely understand the point you make. I think that you can look at it and you can say, well, this is a game where we are going to have 65% of the ball. I think you can look at it that way, and you can look at a game, you can say, well, this is a game where we might only have 40% of the ball, and so if we're chasing the game, we're going to be more likely to be trying to hit on the counter-attack, or we are going to be in a position where we're going to have to try and break sides down vertically, to use what the terminology that Thomas has just come up with. So
it's going to be the word of the tournament.
It may well be, and we'll find out what it means before we have to use it again. But I think that it is difficult, and there's clearly it's going to be horses for courses. And going back to the discussion we had earlier about what's the back four, it will depend on the opposition shape, and it will depend on again possession and the way that they will play. The back four could be different for varying games. And again, he kind of alluded to that, saying it's not going to be the same starting 11 for all 8 matches, which underlines what we're saying. But I think that I'm intrigued. It was a great interview from Faye, because he's said in 300 words, he's given us like half an hour's worth of material just to sort of sit and mull over and pick apart.
Yeah.
I think when you really push comes to shove and you talk about finishers, in old money, that means when you look over your shoulder from the technical area, which one of that mob sat behind me can go and get me a goal? That's what we're talking about. And I know it's expanded finishers. It's, do we need to close the game out? Do we need this? But when we talk about finishers, we're talking about people, I'm going to look over my shoulder, who's going to come and get me a goal when we're in Mexico City at 0-0 or losing 1-0? When we're playing against Brazil and we need to, it's 0-0 on 70 minutes. Who's going to come and make the difference? I think that's when it really counts.
To answer a question you posed earlier, the Miami behind closed doors friendly was arranged 3 months ago. We've just found
Perfect.
out. So there you go. talkSPORT's teamed up with Meantime to create a lager in time for the World Cup. It's called So Good Lager. It will be poured from all O'Neill's pubs and some of the best sports pubs across the UK. So whether you're watching the action this summer or settling in for an afternoon with your mates, make sure you check out talksport.com/SoGood to find your nearest pub. So Good, 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. We're live in Orlando, which is where England play Costa Rica tomorrow. We'll have that live for you as well on talkSPORT.
I love Ted Lasso.
You like it?
Yeah, it's funny, man. I watched it and it took me a while to get into it, but it is hilarious, right?
Yeah, I get that with shows like Sopranos.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing Ted Lasso to Sopranos, but like, you know, it's like I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I've always stuck at like episode 3. But then when you get past all of that, you get right into it. You know the characters and all that. Yeah, and then you know, Bob's your uncle.
How did you get in? How did you get that role? Because you're in Top Boy, right?
Oh yeah, I was in Top. Bit different, isn't it?
Top Boy's good as well.
Basically, one of my best mates is a fantastic actor. His name's Will Poulter. And he's also an Arsenal fan, so big up Wills. Yeah, but he did Where the Millers with Jason.
Okay, yeah.
The one where they tried to smuggle across the border.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Great film, isn't it?
Yeah.
He did the TLC bit. You know, it's great. Basically, Jason asked him, "Do you know any actors that can do comedy, and can actually play football?" And he was like, "Yeah." Well, one of my
He
good
said
mates.
no.
He didn't ask you. He phoned his mate.
Conan, do you know anyone?
I walked into that one. All right. Where was I? Yeah. So then
You're good at football. I mean, look, I know the Ted Lasso stuff. Like, obviously, you can play, but you can obviously play, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we did the whole thing where, when you're younger, like you try to make it.
Yeah. How close did you get?
Oh crap! You know what it is? Yeah, you realise you think you're good, the best in your area.
Yeah.
You win a couple of cups. I won the cup, I scored in the final, whatever.
Yeah.
Hit my head, hit my shoulder, went in.
Yeah.
And the three of us are live in Orlando, in Florida, and we're having a golden time as well. So the Lionesses 3-0 up, although Spain are 5-1 up, which means England will have to go through a playoff to qualify for the World Cup in Brazil next summer. Shall we head to Charlotte, North Carolina? Because following Scotland for talkSPORT is going to be our very own Shaban Ahern, who is with us live on the show. Shaban, I've got 2 questions for you. Why didn't they let you off the plane? What did you do wrong? And secondly, why on earth have you packed a golf club in your luggage? What's going on?
Well, where do we start? Good evening, good afternoon. What time is it where you are, guys? It's Sam, what time is it here? I've no idea what time it is. It's about 4 o'clock or something in the afternoon here. It's 25 to 5. There you go. I'm across it all. Good start. We've just got to the hotel and I'm sweating buckets, but we made it here safely. There was that hour delay when we landed in Charlotte. Reason being because it's always the hardest things that seem to get done and the easiest things where people go wrong. You can fly a jet, guys, across the world and that can all go on time, and then when you land, the people who are bringing the stairs to get you off the jet are having their lunch. So that's what happened there, but we made it to the hotel in the end. And the reason I've packed a 7-iron is because Mama's got to practice, and there's so many golf areas around about Charlotte. It's known actually for its golf kind of areas, and there's putting greens and whatever nearby and driving ranges. And as you know, Adrian, I've started playing golf, so I thought if I've got any downtime, it'll be spent on the driving range. There you go. That's all from me.
You're not having any downtime. For those who are watching on their smart TV or on YouTube, can you describe what's on your head?
I just assumed you'd be able to see me, guys, with technology these days, but I've got my wee Jimmy bonnet on and my ginger hair, and then I happened to bring a couple of cans of Iron Brew. I thought this was clever for if the guys get homesick in camp and they need a little pick-me-up, I can give everyone Iron Brew and Tunnocks tea cakes. But I'll save one for you, Adrian, because I know you've got Scottish in you as well, so you can have that one next time I see you. We are about 10 minutes from base camp in the car. So we earlier on, the training session took place for open training. Everybody trained today. And then it was Craig Gordon who did media, so he sat down with the troops today. Apparently it was quite emotional. He spoke about thinking this was never going to happen, and now at 43 years old, going to a World Cup. So it sounds like it was a lovely day for day one inside the camp, and we'll make sure we're there tomorrow to speak to the press as well.
Okay, Siobhan, just tell me this. As a proud Scotswoman, how far do you think Scotland can go? Because the last couple of games, there was even a clean sheet in there as well as a load of goals.
Honestly, guys, I think we're coming out the group. And then I don't want to be too presumptuous, because I remember being like this in Germany and Munich on our first game when we opened the Euros against Germany, and then we get absolutely slapped about at the Allianz. And now I'm looking and going, okay, be a bit more measured. But I just think we've got so much going forward. I was saying this earlier on this morning. I think we can definitely do a good job over Haiti. I think if we've got our shooting boots on and Shankland's on form and he links up with Shea Adams. And then, of course, we've got wonderful players in midfield who know how to find the back of the net. I think we could put 4 or 5 past them, and we'll need that goal difference. I think Morocco's going to be tough. I think Brazil, maybe there could be a surprise in there. Maybe I'm on Delulu land, but, you know, it's the hope that will kill you. I think we'll come out of the group, and then you never know. In the last 32, you never know. I can hear you laughing at me. It's not funny. You've got to believe. You've got to believe when you're at a World Cup. I think we'll get out of the group. Do you?
Well, no, it's not. I'm not laughing at your prediction. Is what's Delulu land?
You'll find out.
Are they Group K, aren't they?
Made it through the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, on the plane, there was a few Scotland fans in kilts. I saw a lovely dad and his daughter travelling together, and they had the get up on. And you can really feel it, that there's this energy, there's this belief that now is the time. It's never been done before. Going through all the stats, going through our group, just looking into it in a bit more detail. You know, Scotland have no records, really. You know, we get to World Cups and that's all we do. We haven't been here in 28 years, but this is a good side, guys. And I know you all feel that way as well. You watch more football than most. There's something about this Scotland team, and we're littered with stars as well, but you've got, you know, good mix of experience in there and young players coming through. I'm loving Ben Gannon-Doak, because I remember at the Euros he ended up being injured, didn't he? That was about 2 months before the tournament. He was out with injury, and that was a shame at the time, because I remember myself and Ali McCoy's talking about him and going, with a player like that. But I think what he showed against Bolivia, we've got a lot to be excited about going forward, and hopefully in that opening game a lot of goals will be put in as well.
Siobhan, joking aside, what does this mean to you? You talked about 1998, Craig Burley, the last person to score a goal for Scotland in the World Cup. What does it mean to you to be on American soil, to be watching your country in this first World Cup that you've played in for a generation? What do you remember of 98, and how are you relishing this opportunity now for your country?
Well, this is where the jokes come in, because people always think I'm older than what I am. So I was 8 when Scotland were at the last World Cup 28 years ago.
Shut up.
I know the guys earlier on this morning were going, shut up, you were about 20 or something like that. I was 8. And I remember watching the final. I remember being a wee kid on holiday. We were in Ireland on our holiday, as usual. And Scotland were at the World Cup, and that's it. That's the only memory I have at that time. And I remember these qualifying campaigns time and time again, and has always fallen short. And we had good teams then as well, but it just was never to be. I think in the style that we have qualified, in that last game then at Hampden against Denmark, that wasn't the last game, we've had one since, but that game that really mattered. And you see the big boys step up, you know, that overhead kick from McTominay, you know, Kieran Tierney's goal, take your pick, the halfway line goal as well. It was incredible, Adrian. I was texting you that night. We were like, we can't say it on air, but the words that we were using to describe that performance, we were so buzzing that Scotland got to the World Cup. That's it. We're there. We're going. And now we're here. And Charlotte, by the way, I feel like you start to understand Steve Clarke a little bit more at major tournaments, what kind of person he is. He likes a home away from home, because we landed and it was piddling down. It was absolutely hammering it down. Okay, yes, it's very, very humid. My top lip is sweating right now. Hold on till I just pat this dry. Sam, I need a towel. Give me a pat. But also the people. The people are lovely. I feel like I've landed in Glasgow. Everybody's so friendly and so helpful. And everybody's talking about the World Cup and have their own plans. So yeah, it means everything, guys. I feel very proud to be here, and I've not met any fans in Charlotte as yet, but we're going to go and take a wee stroll around the town now. It reminds me a wee bit of Glasgow. It really does. So a bit of a home away from home. I feel very lucky to be here, and I just know the day that we get into Boston, it's going to be brilliant, magic, crack, and especially what happened at the end of the season there. It feels like it's such an interesting time, isn't it, for Scottish football? And then we park all those differences. We park the handball. We park whatever it is, whatever rivalries we have, and we all support Scotland at the World Cup. And to be part of that is, yeah, I feel incredibly proud to be involved, and just buzzing as well. I can't wait to get going.
You sound buzzing, and by the way, there was no handball. And also, I am still pushing management for you and me to do a podcast featuring, a late-night podcast featuring all the words we use on our WhatsApp exchanges, because we can't do it on air. It would have to be a specialist podcast,
by the way.
And 18 plus only. So
it's all you.
I'm not sure I'm going to
Mr.
get clearance
winning.
for that.
Oh, look at me, SJA winning, and you swear like a trooper. There you go. I've spoiled it. Okay, I've spoiled it for everyone. Potty mouth Durham. I see you.
World Cup winning Scotland fan Shabana Hearn, thank you very much. That's like a whirlwind, isn't it? She's arrived.
The excitement that she alone is emulating is unbelievable, really. This is what Scotland bring when they come. You know what I mean? That's their first one that's arrived. You can imagine when the army coming behind after that. Wow.
I have to say that I was in Munich for their first game of the Euros 2 years ago, and the fans were, I mean, it's a cliche, but they were sensationally good. They were brilliant, actually, and they lit up Munich. There were so many of them everywhere. And then on the pitch, the players just simply let the fans down. I think the players would admit that. Just sent Stuart very quickly. I don't think it's going to be like that this time around. I don't think they're going to be that bad.
I have a really good feel about Scotland. I think they're going to give a real good account of themselves. I see them out the group. I'll be astounded if they don't get out the group, believe it or not. I just think they've got a real togetherness at the moment. And the one thing I've learnt as well today, that Charlotte is twinned with Glasgow. I don't know what Charlotte think about that, but we'll find out.
I'm just hoping that it's still a live situation for Scotland by the time they play Brazil in the final group game, because that is a classic World Cup fixture. Now, we're giving you the chance to win a trip to the 2026 FIFA World Cup courtesy of Adidas. You and a mate could be in New York June the 27th, seeing England against Panama live. We've got your flights, hotel, spending money, match tickets, and the official Trianda match ball all covered for you. Head to talksportwin.com to enter and for full T's and C's now. But hurry, entries close this Friday.
The ultimate football fan winning feeling with talkSPORT Win.
When you said there that you've got certain developing nations maybe that have to go for somebody else, in the way that Uzbekistan have got Fabio Cannavaro.
Yes.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
This is why the Thomas Tuchel appointment for England just really doesn't chime with me, really doesn't sit comfortably, because we are supposed to be the inventors of the game, be the home of football. Football's coming home. We are supposed to be we were at the genesis of football. We are supposed to be one of the most richest footballing nations, rich in terms of culture, but also rich in terms of finances. How can we not pick from within?
Well, who would you have gone for if it weren't
personally?
Yeah,
I would have gone for anyone English.
Anyone?
Over
Oh
Thomas
yeah, because you said something. Honestly, I forgot about that ridiculous shout that you come with. Remember?
It wasn't ridiculous.
No, it was ridiculous. You said you'd rather, and listen, he's a friend of mine. You'd rather Liam Rosenior than Thomas Tuchel's England manager.
Yes, in the way that I would. In the way that I would rather Adam Wharton playing central midfield rather than Rodri.
No, but okay, I can understand that. But who gives you the best chance of winning out of the two?
Yeah, but that's not really the question.
No, but that's the question I'm asking you.
But I appreciate, by the way, Thomas Tuchel is far better manager. I'm not even arguing that.
So who gives us the best chance of winning?
Thomas Tuchel is a far better manager than Liam Rosenior. Thomas Tuchel is a far better manager than Eddie Howe. But I believe Eddie Howe should be England manager.
Okay, but who gives you the best chance of winning? Is it about winning or is it about taking part?
But it's also about principle. It's also about principle. It's about pride. It's about your own rules, if not the rules of the governing body. And I think the fact that we have gone for a foreign manager, it feels like the least controversial thing you can ever say, but for some reason, it's painted as.
Right, let's head to Everton. It's full time for the Lionesses. Matt Jones.
And it's finished England 3, Ukraine 0. A dominant performance from England, certainly in the first half when they could have had 6 or 7, truth be told. They got the breakthrough in the 14th minute. Jess Carter heading home from a Lauren James cross, and then before the break got a second when Stanway lunged in at the back post to just about get a toe on a low Russo cross and prod home. It was a little more subdued after the break. Lauren James came off at half-time and she'd been the orchestrator, and perhaps the fact that Spain were winning so convincingly against Iceland meant there was less conviction about England, but they did get a third when Beth Mead curled a delightful free kick into the bottom corner from just outside the area on 67 minutes. That's how it stayed, and a good convincing win. But the bad news for England is that Spain absolutely demolished Iceland, that one finishing 6-1, and it means Spain finished top of the group. England come in second place, and they are now consigned to the playoffs, and the draw for them takes place on the 18th of June. The ties will be played in October, November and December. They need to come through 2 double-legged ties to reach the World Cup in Brazil. So a good performance and result to finish it, but not the outcome England wanted in terms of qualification. England 3, Ukraine 0.
Yeah, 6-1 Spain in the end, and in both the games in this international break, Spain have brought on Ballon d'Or winner Atana Bonmati, and she scored both times after coming on, and it tells you just how strong they are. And actually what an achievement it's been from England to win the Euros twice in this period of time under Sarina Wiegman. But playoffs it is if they're going to qualify for the World Cup in Brazil next summer, and we'll keep you in touch with those on talkSPORT when they happen, and with the draw, of course. I want to quickly go back to a conversation we had with Christina Unkel, the former FIFA referee, yesterday. She was here with us in Tom's Watch Bar, just talking through the new rule changes that are going to come in. Let's hear from her talking about those rule changes on the show yesterday.
I think you took, what was it, a minute and a half to lay out all the new changes. So, you know, pure soccer purist as I am, I actually don't like VAR. I really don't. I love the
We're going to get on.
Set. Yeah, very much so. I mean, but it is what it is, right? We're IFAB, other stakeholders, I get it. Not just millions, but $1 billion have been at stake, and that's what it is, right? It's trying to implement perfection in a game that's imperfect, which is why I love this game. I think it's why everyone loves this game, right? You have your if you're romantic at heart, you have your villains, you have your saviors, you have overcoming defeat, and the more and more you implement this technology system, the more there is an expectation for perfection, which is just what even Albert Einstein's, accredited would never happen. So it's here. I'm with Tuchel on it. It's here. We can't do changes anymore. It's being implemented whether we like it or not. So how do we move forward with this? And from the refereeing standpoint of it, a lot of them are focused on accelerating the game and empowering the official to be able to accelerate the game outside of, we've seen the substitutions where the referee has to go to the person being subbed and jog alongside and be like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you're doing that to be proactive so the other technical staff believes that you're helping. it's really not helping. So some of these are going to institute and help, as you mentioned, Japan. We've had that here in Major League Soccer. Go figure, it was Suarez and Messi. That situation happened right out of the gates, and guess what? The next Suarez substitution, he sprinted off the field, and he's not a sprinter, I can tell you that. So it is having the effect that it needs to have, and at the end of the day, when you implement any law, it needs to be changing it needs to be impacting play or curbing some type of action, and that's what it's starting to do.
She was terrific on the show yesterday, Christina. And the new rules, Stuart, are primarily to eradicate time wasting and slowing the play down, throwing countdown, goal kick countdown, etc. Treated players got to stay off for 60 seconds, etc. We went through them all yesterday. Didn't really hear enough from you because Christina was so good on the subject. What is your reflections on those rule changes ahead of the World Cup?
Timings was a big one for me. If I was bringing a squad to a major World Cup, I would want to have time to sort of digest those, maybe get outside referees to come in and talk to the players. I've done that before in the past with Howard Webb, who's come in and talked to our players. What's it going to be like going to a tournament? Do you referee games slightly differently? What are your interpretations as a referee of what's being put for you to utilise? Because the big one for me as well, interpretation. We got referees from all over the world in differing leagues in the world. Their interpretation of free kicks, fouls, time wasting are totally different from person to person, and that's what makes it so different. One individual has made the laws, the new recommendations, but a multitude of people have got to put those into practice, and that's the concern for me slightly. We're chasing law changes season by season all the time, and it's accelerating to make the game quicker and quicker and quicker. It's yeah, I'd like to see how it pans out, and I hope that it doesn't influence certain results of games where we come away as football purists and think that's spoiled a really good game.
I think one of the other things that we didn't really talk about yesterday but will be interesting is the tactical timeout that we've got used to seeing, where a goalkeeper will go down injured, in inverted commas, and then the players from his side and then the other side will go over and we'll get some tactical insight from the coaches. Now, that is a difficult one as far as the officials are concerned because it hasn't been put in law by IFAB. But what the teams have been told is that it will be frowned upon, for want of a better expression, for you to go and seek advice. But there isn't actually anything in statute yet that says that you can't do it. So that's going to be a difficult one to police as well, because all the teams have been told you can't go over and get instruction. But if they do, I don't know what the reality is and what sanction can actually be applied because it's not in statute yet.
How difficult does it make it for you as a commentator? There's so many new rules in a short space of time.
Oh, I just lean on him. I'm fine. Don't worry about that. I mean, I've spent my entire career doing that. No, it is difficult getting your head around it, and we're in the fortunate position. I mean, from a commentary point of view, England are in Group L. So by the time that England have played their first game, we will probably have watched 8 or 9 other matches, and so as a commentator you get your head around some of the nuances, and we won't have seen everything by that stage by any stretch of the imagination, but you will have seen a myriad of substitutions. You will have seen VAR checking corners. I'm still not happy about the legitimacy of that as a football fan, that you can see the ball go out of play for a corner, and they will have a look at it to see if it is a corner, but if it goes out of play for a goal kick, they don't have a look at that to see if it's a corner, because you could get a situation, and you know how Sod's Law works, you will get a situation where the ball goes out of play, it should have been a corner, goal kick is given, it's lumped down the other end of the pitch and someone scores from it. So you will have controversy whatever happens. No matter what they do to try and stop things happening, it's still going to happen. You will still get controversy. It'll just be a different flavour.
Jim, good luck. Thanks very much. talkSPORT World Cup Daily Podcast drops first thing tomorrow. It's me, Stu and Jim, with you most days, so subscribe to that from where you get your podcasts. We're with you tomorrow live from 7 p.m. for England, Costa Rica. It's the Sports Bar next.
Pearce is a big-time operator. He was one of the intellectual capital behind the ideals for the European Super League, primarily because he probably wants to put his steel in parts of the Middle East and take opportunities as a result of that. But he's a big hitter, and he knows